Got retweeted by your boy McMenamin.
Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, one and all, to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's Thursday, along with Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell. I'm Adam the Bull. We got Mike, we got Earl, we got Anthony, and we got Steve behind the glass. How you doing,
back
guys?
there pressing buttons.
Mike's pressing buttons. Apparently, we were on camera there for a minute. I was talking, but I don't know if that went on the air. Who knows?
It's amazing we were all in our seats 15 seconds before the show
shocking?
started. That normally
That's
doesn't
surprising, yes. I did reveal who shot JFK, if you were listening then. If you didn't hear the audio, sorry, I can't repeat it. Tyvis, what's going on with you? Anything exciting?
No, I'm recovering from, I had my first debut of solo UCSS.
How'd that go last night?
It was good. You know, I told Anthony that I was nervous. If you watch the clip, you could tell that I was very, very nervous.
Look at you.
Yep.
As nervous as your first Channel 3 hit was, thank you, Mike, and you're all prim and proper and trimmed up, and were you that nervous?
You already on my list, all right?
Hey, I told you earlier, there's a long list today, buddy.
That's true.
You got to take a number and wait your turn.
There's a lot of people that want to hack Jason's head off, so let's get to it. Mike, you got to read for us?
Yeah, we're going to get right into it. No time to waste today. We'll talk plenty of schedule stuff. We'll talk Cavs. We got to start with Jason's bombshell article last night. And then a reminder to everybody that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and right now it's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL. And FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
All right, guys, let's jump right into it. The Cavs season is over. That's not a shock. We'll talk more about the game a little later, although I thought it was a gutsy effort. Real quick, I thought it was a very gutsy effort by the Cavs.
Incredible. They played their asses off these last 2
I mean, they were in it for 3.5 quarters.
Yeah. I mean, given what they were missing, especially last night with Donovan out, Caris out, J.A. out.
Yeah. And Caris was awful.
Yeah, that's all I say. He wasn't even good. I like the fact that people step up. I think they looked at it as an opportunity. The one thing I can say about this Cleveland team and all the really Cleveland teams is that no matter who's in there, they go hard. Yeah. And that's what you got out of them. Like, if Darius made a couple of shots, who knows? But everybody else stepped up in a big way. I was actually proud. Although they lost the game, I could salute that type of effort. I'm fine going into the offseason knowing that, hey, even without y'all best player, y'all still made it a game. Y'all still did everything y'all could, and it looked like it. That's all you asked for.
Most of the guys who played in this series for the Cavs acquitted themselves very well in this series against the team that's been the best all season long. More on that later, including Evan Mobley. Do we think differently of him now after he had probably the best 2 weeks of his young career, I would say.
He's great.
Considering the circumstances. Yeah, he was. All right. But obviously the bigger story is the season's over, and now what is going to happen? Of course, there was the blockbuster article in The Athletic. It got released late. I don't know. What time did you guys put it out? Do you know? 11 p.m.?
I don't know.
12 p.m.?
I don't know.
It was
I
out
can tell
late
you
last
exactly
night.
when because I was on the air, and Jason texted me like little nuggets as it was going on, and I usually put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but last night I forgot to. And Jason, I apologize to people who watched the post-game show because obviously couldn't reveal your reporting beforehand. But
I was trying to give Mike
goodness.
I knew Mike was doing the post-game show, and I knew this was coming out, and I didn't want him to be blindsided by it. So I was just telling him, like, listen,
here it comes.
If you're on the show, if you're still going, like this is about to drop.
So it came out during the show, you said?
Apparently it messed up his post-game show.
It didn't mess it up. I just shouldn't have acknowledged it in the way I did, so my bad to people watching.
Okay.
It came out literally as soon as we wrapped up, and here's the bullet point summary. Jason, you go into more detail on any of these, but this is the bullet point
we'll get
summary.
to it. By the way, I read it at 3:45 in the morning because I woke up at
Got to pee?
I woke up at 3:30 in the morning to pee.
Yep. 40-year-old man's bladder.
Which I always do.
Yep.
Right? But usually I can go right back to sleep. I could not go back to sleep last night. So I've been up since 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I've had those.
Today?
I've been up today since 3:30 in the morning. So after 15 minutes, I gave up. And I'm like, all right, I see Mike's text about Jason's article. I'm like, okay, well, let me read the article. It's 3:45 in the morning. So I did that. I tried to go back to sleep again. I again couldn't go to sleep. And then I ended up watching Hustle with Adam Sandler, which is a great movie, although it's a little hard to buy the Queen Latifah Adam Sandler marriage. I liked it. I thought it was cute, but it was hard to wrap my head around.
What's his name? Bo Cruz? Is that
Bo Cruz was the guy. Great movie. Anyway, let's get to the head. There's many headlines out of this article, Jason. In your mind, it was written by you and Joe Varden and Shams Charania.
Yeah.
Is it Shams?
Shams.
I called them Shams.
Shams.
Shams. In your opinion, as one of the co-authors of the article, what is the biggest headline of all the things you said? Is it Jarrett Allen? Is it Darius Garland? Is it the JB probably getting fired? What do you think is, as you know, assessing your own column? What do you think is the biggest headline?
It's probably the Darius Donovan piece.
Okay.
Before we get into that, like, these are so hard to write, and they're so, like, I was saying earlier, I'm just exhausted. These are draining, and we'll talk about it. We'll get into it and everything, but, like, these are human beings and lives that are being disrupted and torn apart, and it's not fun. Like, that part of it sucks when you know these people and you deal with these people, and then you got to write this stuff. Like, it's hard. And it just feels like some people think that, like, we take pleasure in this and it's fun to, and we're doing our jobs, but some of this is really hard. But let's get into it. So the Darius Donovan thing, we reported that if Donovan signs, it will probably get to the point where Darius tries to force his way out, where Darius asks for a trade. I believe we've seen the last of Darius and Donovan on the court together after reporting this out last night, this morning, gathering more information. I think that this is probably it on the Donovan-Darius pairing. So that's probably, I think, the biggest to come out of all this.
Well, let me ask you something about that specifically. It seems like personally they have a good relationship. Is this about personal at all, or is it all about basketball?
That's a great question.
I think I've said this to people within the Cavs.
Okay.
I think Donovan is incredibly mature. He's very mature.
Right.
For his age. Darius comes off sometimes as a little immature and doesn't really take anything seriously. Now, whether he does or not, this is how he kind of shows himself. Like, everything's a joke.
Yeah.
Doesn't really take anything seriously. Just makes some mistakes on the court you can't have. Like the 8-second violation. You can't have that.
Yeah.
And just, like, getting caught in the air and nowhere to go and just making mistakes that he should not be making for someone who's been in the league as long as he has. But also, he's played some really, really good basketball, some high-level basketball in his career. So I don't think that they dislike each other. I think Donovan gets frustrated sometimes with what I just talked about, and I think Darius is more comfortable with the ball in his hands. And I just think he feels more complete when he's got the ball in his hands without playing next to a ball-dominant guard.
Well, I told you, I think it was Tuesday we talked about this, where I said I feel like as good as Donovan is, I truly feel like he stunted Darius's growth, because Darius he's trying to figure out how, from being a ball-dominant guy, being the main playmaker, to going to being off ball and not having the ball. He hasn't figured it out, and I don't think he will, because that's just not who he is. He has to have the ball in his hands. And I think for so many times when you're the guy, the ball-dominant guy, you go through ups and downs in the seasons. You find out what you can and cannot do. But with Donovan here, it's like no matter how bad he plays, he won't figure it out because at the end of the day, Donovan's going to take over anyways. And like even when Donovan was playing in Game 6 and Game 7 of the Magic, like everybody just was like, "All right, go ahead, do your thing."
That was an extreme example.
But it's like to the point he's so competitive,
right?
And I see why Donovan could feel like, you know what? Why am I the only one that's this competitive? I came on the show and I said it. I said, why? There's no way that I ever see one of my teammates on one leg giving it his all, and I'm not going to do nothing to help. Nothing.
And like I don't understand people like taking shots at Donovan over the 50-point game. It's going.
That's ridiculous.
When situations like that happen, it's because you have no faith in the guys around you.
Yes, right. It's a Kobe Bryant mentality.
And he's given them reason. The rest of the team has given him a reason to feel that way.
Like they could make a shot. It's same as LeBron in 07 against Detroit. Right. He had no faith in the other guys on the floor. So you're in that position of like, I have to do this all by myself because I can't trust these guys to make a shot. So it's not an indictment on the guy doing all the scoring. It's an indictment on everybody else on the floor.
That's 100% true.
That the guy with the ball has lost faith in you.
Well, Michael Jordan did say that when in those closing minutes, he always thought about the work that everybody put in. I think it was him, and I think Kobe might have said it. I know that guy didn't work as hard as me, so why would I trust you with the ball?
It's amazing you said that because I'm going to go back and say, just real quick, I know we got a lot to get to, but when you're talking about that stuff, I wrote in the book that I wrote after the Cavs won the championship.
The book.
The one and only book. The one and only book.
There's going to be no other.
That nobody bought. There was a practice at Mo Williams' facility in Dallas, and Kyrie was come back from his knee injury, and LeBron and Kyrie were the last two guys on the court. It was the day of the national championship game, BCS game. I think it was one of the Clemson, Alabama game. I don't remember.
Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to like replay it in my mind. So they're on the court together, and this is 45 minutes an hour after practice, and guys are mad because they want to go back to the hotel and get showered. They're all sweaty, and these guys are still going and going and going. So I asked LeBron about it the next day. And he said, they're free to leave. They can go. He said, but I want them to know when it matters that we put in the work. The two of us, he and I are out there putting in the work so that when it comes down to it, they can trust us because we've worked all year long. And Donovan puts in the work.
Yeah, right.
He absolutely, and I'm not saying the other guys don't, but Donovan for sure puts in that work.
By the way, folks, if you're someone who really only cares about the Browns, we will get to the Browns schedule. We're going to play the schedule game later. All that Brown stuff is coming up later in the show, but right now, of course, we're talking about the Cavs and Jason's blockbuster article in The Athletic, and we're starting with one of the headlines and the main headline about what's going to happen with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. I got to say, I'm thinking, for about 15 minutes, I've been thinking this one thought, that yes, it makes sense that one of those two has to be traded, and in a perfect world, it is Darius because Donovan's way better.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think that there's at least a 1% chance that Kobe Altman will not trade Darius Garland just to spite you. No. Jason is the voice of Cavaliers basketball. He is the pen. I should say not the voice. The pen of Cavaliers basketball. He has covered this team better than anybody else as long as I've been here. It's true, without a doubt. You are the go-to authority on the Cavaliers. You call it like you see it. You're fair. I think people sometimes accuse you of not being fair and being a hater. You people are wrong. I could say that with 100% truth. You're not a hater. And Jason is fair. Everybody else is a homer, so it seems like he's being a hater because he's calling it fairly. And I feel like that Kobe might just say, I don't want Jason to be right.
Why would you say that?
I'm kidding. But that thought just popped into my head. In all reality, I'm joking. But in all reality, we've been saying it for a while, that one of the two has to go.
I told y'all two of the four was going to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into this because this is funny.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell them why I'm mad at you.
So Tyvus is mad at me because at whatever point.
It was like 2 weeks ago. I was like, I think two of the four is going to be gone.
Yeah.
And I said, nope.
Well, because I don't think nobody, you're going to be shocked. I don't think it's going to be too many changes.
So it sounded like they weren't going to make changes, right?
So this is how fragile it is in the NBA. This is how fragile roster building is. And more than any other sport, it's so hard in the NBA. And, I mean, I've covered the league for 10 years now. I've talked to so many different executives who try and do this roster building who say, you think you got it right. and you've got that piece, and we're only one piece away, or we got it just how we want it. We like this. We're going to run this back, and then one little thing happens, and the whole thing comes down, and you're like, what happened? We were fine. Yeah. Okay, you're saying that, right? Mm-hmm. When you're saying that, I was having conversations. I had a conversation with somebody with the Cavs who said during the Orlando series, if we lose this series, we're probably going to run it back, and we're not going to blow this thing up. And this configuration's only had 2 years together. Mm-hmm. That's not enough time. We kind of want to see where this goes and how far can we take this. We're not going to make any drastic changes. That was during the Orlando series 2 weeks ago. Look where we are today.
Yeah.
Now this comes out about the Jarrett rib injury, and we haven't even gotten to that. The shot, not taking the shot.
Let's get to it right now, Jason,
I'm about to say
I thought that's where you're going to start.
Because that, I think Jarrett's probably played his last game here. Right or wrong, fair or not, I think he's probably played his last game here, kind of because of that. So we've gone in 2 weeks. We've gone from
everybody staying.
We want to bring everybody back to, well, wait a minute. If Donovan stays, Darius might force his way out.
Yeah.
And with Jarrett's situation, there was already a question of how Jarrett and Evan fit. And now you've got this thing with Jarrett not taking a shot. Can you really bring him back now? So now we've gone from 4 to 2 in 2 weeks.
But that's literally 2 years in a row that he's put himself in the light to where people going to question his.
Well, in this case, he didn't say anything publicly. Last year, he said something publicly.
Yeah, he
has he admitted that he didn't take a shot? I mean, or is this just?
I'm sure. Why would he admit that?
It's very substantial reporting that was confirmed multiple times over.
So
he's not talking.
As part of the reporting, you guys said, correct me if I'm wrong, that multiple teammates were unhappy.
Multiple people within the organization.
Okay.
It's a big organization.
Yes.
We've heard from some teammates, in fairness, who said, I don't have a problem with him.
Yeah.
We've heard from others who were frustrated. It felt like nobody doubts he was in pain.
Sure.
Nobody doubts he was suffering. There was frustration from various departments that he didn't do everything he could to get back on the floor, including, now this is where I get a little queasy talking about this, because it's, we
talk
joke
about a guy's injury.
Well, it's injuries, it's HIPAA, and it's also my body, my choice. If you really want to do that, you're upset with the guy because he wouldn't inject something into his body. Now,
I get that part. Me being an athlete,
you can talk to this
because I get how people don't want that because it can make it worse. You're not getting better, and you don't know what the side effects of it is later in life, and that's the thing. So I get that point.
Yeah.
But I think where people get frustrated at from a teammate or a front office person is that your leader is out there. He went out there with one leg and was doing it.
Right.
With one leg. And you telling me you don't want to contribute in no type of way to help this man? I think that's the frustrating part, to where as a teammate, you look at him like, dude, I get all those things, but we need you. You know we need you. You know that you could be a difference maker. So why would you not at least do it one time? Maybe one time. Maybe you go out there one time and you don't do anything. Then we're like, all right, cool. You know what? It ain't going to be that big of a difference. But to sit there and not do it at all, to sit there and watch your teammates go out there and do those type of things, even after game, 4, he should have been inspired. He should have been like, man, even without Donovan out there, these boys still going out there going home.
Maybe I can help them win.
I can help them. We were so close to winning. I could have been that piece. I could have been 6 points, 6 rebounds, and made a difference.
Now, we don't know how he's feeling.
Correct.
I'm never personally going to criticize a guy for not playing due to injury.
That's why this makes this so hard.
It's tricky.
It's really tricky because and that's why with this piece, this piece of it was really the whole article was, here are the facts. This is the information. Interpret it how you want.
Right.
Do with it what you want. I'm not telling you how to feel. There are people who will say, good for Jarrett for sticking up for himself and for protecting his body because no one else is going to. They want to throw you out there.
Yeah.
You have to protect yourself and no one else is going to protect you.
That's a fact.
If you feel that way, I don't blame you. Go ahead and feel that way. There are other people who will say, you're making $20 million. Take the shot and get out there and play. Get out there and do what you can. And I'll go back to, I mentioned this earlier this morning, the Texans game, the Browns-Texans playoff game. Joel Bitonio had no business being on the field. He had a high ankle sprain in that game.
Right.
Needed multiple shots. Took multiple shots to get back out there. in a game they had no chance of winning,
Yeah.
and he was out there in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Now, is that good or bad? It depends on your view. It depends on, like, to Joel, he was willing to do that and go out there, and that's the decision that he made.
Yeah.
It makes me queasy to be critical of Jarrett for not doing it. I'm just giving you the information. This is what happened. Interpret it how you want.
And that's a personal decision. Nobody really has the right to tell you whether you should do it or shouldn't do it. I'm not going to.
But more times than not, I'm
wired differently.
Yeah.
I can tell you literally in 2014 when we won the national championship, I got the shot 7 straight times.
Right.
7 straight games in the shoulder.
And now talk about what it does, because I don't think people know, like, Toradol, right? Toradol?
Just numbs the pain.
It hurt. Like when you get the shot, it hurt, but you do feel fine. Like for my shoulder, I was able to go make the tackles. It wasn't on my mind. I was good. When it wear off,
what happens when it wears off? Even worse, right?
Is it worse?
It hurt. Oh yeah, it hurt like a mofo.
How long does that? What does it last for? Like 24 hours?
Yeah, something like that. 24, 48 hours, and then
it's.
You're not getting shot up during practice. Just
in practice, I didn't. I was non-contact in practice. I just didn't hit.
And they don't shoot people up for practice.
No, you're not getting shot up.
It's
for
just
you get in football. You get that blue jersey that means don't touch, don't do contact, nothing.
Yeah. And so I'm not going to kill a guy for not wanting to do that.
I'm with you.
Now, if his teammates are critical, if anybody can understand, it's his teammates.
Yes.
And if a teammate's critical, like they have the right. Listen, the players have the right to feel. The other players have the right to feel however they do. Maybe it's unfair of them to judge, but in the end, it's your natural reaction. If player X says, like, man, I had a knee problem and I took a shot, he should do it too. Like, I wouldn't necessarily kill that guy for feeling that way, but as an outsider like me, I would never criticize
It's not my place to criticize Jarrett for not taking the shot.
Yeah.
I don't think. To get out here publicly and say you should have taken the shot, that's not my place.
You're right. I think it is an internal thing from a teammate standpoint. But my thing is, to me, when I hear it, me being a former athlete
slash media member.
No, former athlete.
Current media member.
Me being a former athlete, I just think to myself, maybe they not as close as they thought. Like maybe he isn't like that.
Yeah.
Like because think about it. I don't want to take a shot. Why would I want to take a shot? But if that's my brother and that's my teammate and they need me, and I take that shot. Like because if I rock with you and I care about you, I'm gonna take the shot because y'all need me out there.
And here's what, like, this can't be overlooked. The man played in 81 straight games.
No,
he played in 77 straight games in the regular season, and then the 4 postseason games before he got hit.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you, in 81 games, he was banged up. He was hurt. He wasn't feeling great.
He must have thought that shot wasn't. He must have thought that shot wasn't going to change with how he felt.
Mike, do you have something on this?
Well, I just want to ask Jason another question on the article.
Before you move on to another angle of this, what's your angle?
The Allen thing, and Jason and I have talked about this for weeks now.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. The dude's a warrior.
Yeah.
Or was a warrior. Played 81 straight games. He was the only guy in the Cavs who was playing in back-to-back every road trip.
Yeah.
It's
77.
hard to wrap your head around.
George Niang played 82 regular season games, but in today's day and age of NBA stars, load management, like, they had to put in a threshold so guys would play more games just to be able to reach all NBA status. Jarrett Allen broke through that with flying colors, and then not to get the shot, it just feels like
something doesn't add up.
He
Exactly.
must have said it wasn't going to change. It must have been that bad that shot wasn't going to change.
But that's like just how none of the, like, the whole season is just, it doesn't fit. It's just like there's just parts of it that just don't fit and don't make sense.
Jason, let me ask you this part of this conversation with Jarrett Allen is that he's going to be gone at the end of the year. You said, in the article it says he's going to be gone.
Well, the article doesn't say it. I believe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I believe
he's
probably played his last game.
So, do you think that the fact that Evan Mobley had as much of a presence as he did in this series against Boston, where he, it felt like he finally took this a step. He's not the player we hoped he was, but I felt like it took him till this series to take a step forward finally this year, at least from my perspective. Do you think that helps them trade Jarrett Allen? In other words, they're a little more confident in Mobley being able to hold up as the clear big man?
I know that they like having 2 bigs. They like having Evan and Jarrett. The fit is clunky.
Yeah.
They like having, look how many games Evan missed this year.
Right.
So
you'd have to get somebody else.
Well, I've heard from, I was talking to someone who said, thank God we had two.
Yeah.
Like, look at all the time Evan missed.
Yeah.
Thank God we had Jarrett in there. Now, what if Jarrett is out, if Jarrett's gone and Evan gets hurt, what are we going to do? Obviously, yes, you bring in somebody else. Yeah. But Jarrett's a really, really good player.
Sure.
And he's a tent pole to what they do defensively. Like, it can't be understated. How many times do we say Jarrett's had a monster year? He's had a terrific year. Mm-hmm. Like, after all that went wrong for him in the postseason last year and getting outplayed by the Knicks and the lights were too bright and all that, he came back and did everything he could possibly do to erase all of that.
He was their second best player the regular season.
Yeah,
There's no debate about it.
And before he got hurt, he was their second best player in the playoffs.
He was their best player in the playoffs before he got hurt. He was their second best player in the regular season.
So like, that's why none of this makes sense. That's why this is so hard. But to your point, whenever I would talk to people last summer coming into the season, I was in Vegas for Summer League and just talking to different people. The conversation was always about Evan at center, Evan at the 5, and 4 shooters around him. It was never really about Jarrett. The teams, the rest of the league always looked at the Cavs as Evan at center and 4 around him. Even though Jarrett is a really significant piece to what they do. So this series against Boston, I think you kind of saw what it can look like with Evan at center.
Yeah.
And not even their best pieces around him. He was in different spots. He wasn't necessarily in the post. They started him up higher, which goes back to what I said before about tell Evan, where are you most comfortable on the floor? Go there. We're going to feed you the ball there, first touch every game. And you not the first touch every game part, but you saw him, I think, in the Boston series. And Mike, tell me if you disagree. It felt to me like he was getting more to spots where he's very comfortable and not necessarily spots where he was forced to go.
Evan is a 5.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, and today's current status of basketball, Evan Mobley's a 5.
Now the problem with that is his frame.
Right.
And when you're asking him to go up against Joel Embiid and Jokic and Kat and some of these guys that are just bigger than him, like just physically bigger than him, injuries are a concern, and him wearing down is a real concern.
Well, I think if you trade Jarrett Allen and you trade Darius Garland, obviously, we'll see if they're able to do it. They clearly obviously need a wing, which is the most important thing. But they also need to get a center, maybe not as expensive a center as Jarrett Allen, but a guy who can, in the games against those teams, can do some of the heavy lifting defensively against those guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe Evan's going to get a little bigger this year. I mean, I guess it's just so big he can get on his frame. But he's got to get a little bigger,
I would think.
He's still 22.
I hope. He can get bigger. He's 22.
He'll get a little bit bigger, but I feel like it's the Tristan McKenzie conversation. Like, sometimes guys are what they are.
Yeah, no,
like, everyone says Tristan McKenzie has to put on more weight. It's like, guys, he's 26 years old, or however old he is. Like, he is what he is.
Is he the skinniest baseball player you've ever seen?
Yeah, but like some guys.
First of all, he can put on weight because I thought the same thing.
But it's functional weight. It's different. He has to be
fluid. It's hard.
7 foot, it's on your knees. It's on your feet.
It's hard to put weight on when you're moving around and doing the stuff that they do.
Right, you got to do it in the off season.
But that is still tough then, like because you
train
it.
But you can do it. It's possible in the off season.
It's possible,
at least a little bit.
One last question, real quick, before we talk about the schedule. Jason, you mentioned that the Cavs are going to take a little bit of time to evaluate their roster, including their head coach. I think the exact terminology in the article was in serious jeopardy. What do you make of J.B. Bickerstaff's future and whether or not the Cavs will make a change at the head coaching position?
I don't think J.B. and Donovan will both be back. It will be one or the other. And the coach never wins that.
Yeah.
Now, maybe Donovan informs them, I'm not signing, or he doesn't sign the extension, and then you have choices to make at that point and decisions to make. But if you're asking my personal opinion, I'm not reporting this as source. This is just my opinion. I think he's probably going to get fired. And like full disclosure, obviously the story's done during the game last night, or the bulk of it is done. And I'm watching the game, and I'm texting Joe and Shams. I'm like, they're going to fire this guy? Like, these guys, look what he's doing with what he has.
Yeah.
Look at the pieces that he has. They're going to fire this man. Got him to the second round, made progress every year, playing first round, second round. And, there's criticisms of him. Sure, there's criticisms of all coaches. And they're real. Like, Mike rolled out all the evidence of his team's fade in the second half. That's really bad. And on the road in the playoffs, they got the one win in Boston, but by and large, his teams have been terrible on the road in the playoffs. That's bad. You got to win on the road. If you're going to have success in the NBA, real tangible success, you have to win playoff games on the road. So there are issues, for sure. But you can't say he didn't get the most out of these guys, because he absolutely did. The pieces that they brought in that were supposed to fix the roster, Niang, Strus got hot here toward the end when Donovan was out, but for the most part, they were a zero in the playoffs. And yet he still kept dragging them along. Yeah. He coached his best basketball when these guys were out. Yeah. We thought it was going to unravel in December, and he did his best job, I thought. And Cavs were putting him up for Coach of the Year.
I think it's fair to say that he did a really good job in the postseason, especially in the Boston series. And in the same vein, say also that it might be time for a new leader, even though he did a good job.
Is he the guy to take them to the championship?
That's always the thing. Is there's the guy that gets you through the rebuild, and then the guy that takes you over the top.
The question is, when you look at him, can this guy win us a championship at the end of the day? Does the team believe in him enough to get him to a championship?
And that's why I ultimately think he's probably going to get fired, is because I don't think Donovan wants him to be the coach. And I say that knowing that, like, no player wants to be labeled a coach killer. Yes. No player wants that label. They run from that.
It's a fact.
But it's also a fact that there's a lot of guys in the Cavs locker room, I know this with 100% certainty, who don't like JB, who don't like his style. There's a lot of things they don't like. And it all comes to light because you're following the leader. If Donovan likes JB and has JB's back, a lot of this other stuff probably never even comes to light. But when the leader of the locker room doesn't like the coach, that's when all this other stuff bubbles up. And when that many people don't like the coach, I mean, we were talking about should he be fired last year. I did not think he should have been fired last year because I didn't think he had the proper pieces. You have to give him pieces that he needs and then evaluate him. And they did try and give him the pieces that he needed, and they were zeros. So ultimately, a long-winded answer is, I think they're probably going to fire him. They may keep him. But I don't think that both Donovan and JB will be on this team next year. Just like I don't believe Donovan and Darius. Like, this is – it's unfortunate because they have made progress every single year. But, again, it is so fragile, way more than the NFL, more than baseball. NBA roster building is so delicate and fragile. And just when you think you got it right, the whole thing comes apart.
So which domino falls first?
Well, you got to make a decision on JB within the next week or two.
Yeah. So, given that decision, we'll kind of know the Donovan decision.
Maybe. I mean, you could fire JB and still move on from Donovan. I think that there's greater odds now than I felt a year ago that Donovan will stay.
For $270 million?
Not quite that much, but over $200 million. Yeah.
And what's the other that anybody else can offer?
I don't remember. It's in the article. It's significant. Well, because if you trade him, then the bird rights go with him, and his new team can offer him the same deal the Cavs can.
Okay.
But my whole point is, like, you can sign for $200 million right now. You're just coming off calf and knee injuries. Bend down and pick up the money.
Right.
And then worry about the other stuff later.
He could always force his way out later.
But this is where it kind of puts Donovan in a tricky spot of, like, he's committing in July maybe without really knowing, because he can't sign till July.
Right.
Without knowing what this is really going to look like.
Right.
Are they really going to move on from Jarrett? What are you going to get? Right. Are they really going to move on from Darius? What are you going to get? And
the last time we was in a situation like this, we got kibbles and bits.
Well, they better not get kibbles and bits this time. We will talk later in the show about who they might get for those guys, about what they might do in free agency, and maybe even who might be the next head coach of the Cavs if they do move on. But last night, we, of course, had the release of the Browns' schedule. Some of the leaks were actually wrong, by the way. I don't know if any of the Browns were. Yeah, they were. But the schedule came out in full, and we're going to jump into it next. Mike?
Yeah, if you're looking to get a ticket to a Browns game in the upcoming season, there's no better place to get a ticket than with the Game Time app. It is so easy. with last-minute deals every day. They have all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee makes Game Time the best way to buy tickets online. It also takes the guesswork out of buying tickets, which is always a pain in the butt. I've used Game Time before for Guardians games. I've used it for Cavs games. I'm going to use it again for Browns games this upcoming season. I love their flash deals and zone deals. It helps me find the best deal that you can find on any app, and their lowest price guarantee. Make sure you'll get 110% credit if you find a lower ticket elsewhere. They also have Game Time ticket coverage, which means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the entire ticketing industry. Game Time is the best. Everyone here at UCSS uses Game Time because it takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets, NFL tickets, Major League Baseball tickets with the Game Time app. Just download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, just like you see on your screen, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
In fact, the Cubs are coming to Cleveland this year to play the Guardians, so I'll have to get my tickets on the app.
I don't think you have a problem
You don't think so?
getting tickets.
Probably not. But on the app, they're going to be even cheaper. I'll wait till the day of. Maybe get them for $10. We'll see.
Could he get credentialed for that?
Yeah, they credential.
Yeah.
I've never seen you at. I've never seen a credential around your neck.
You know why?
What are you talking about? At a Guardians game?
Any of them. I don't think I've ever seen you at a game. Have
I
you?
have. Well, I've gone to tons of Guardians games.
No, I mean, is like in the press box.
In the press box, I've been Guardians probably 3 or 4 times over the years.
So you're a media member?
Yeah.
Just like you.
No.
Just like you.
Browns and
For
Cavs.
the Browns, I've been to, I've had a press, well, I used to go to training camp all the time. But in terms of games, I've only been to 1 game for the Browns as a press member.
Yeah.
And for the Cavs, 1 or 2.
Yeah, all right.
When I first moved here and I didn't have a kid, I went a little more often. Now, what do I want to go to the press box for? I want to sit at home on my beautiful TV.
All right, let's go.
No? You'd rather be in the press, but what, so I can schmooze? All right, maybe I'll come to the Browns games this year and schmooze.
You really?
No.
Well, the
But I should go to
schedule is
Guardians
out.
games.
If you want to go to week 1, get a credential bowl. They're playing the Cowboys. Week 2, they're on the road in Jacksonville. Week 3 at home for the Giants.
All right, well, don't
Week
read it.
4
Don't
for the
show us the
Raiders.
schedule here. What are you reading it for?
Week 4 at Raiders. Week 5 at Commanders. It
Let me
keeps
tell you
going
something.
On and on, but that's a great start for the Browns. They should be
Well,
off to a hot
first
start.
of all, it's a great start. It's all on paper. You know it's a great start. You're playing – the Browns have a tough schedule. We know this, right? I can't say it's a great start when 3 of the 5 are on the road.
I'm pulling up the Browns schedule to look at it for the first time. Should I admit that?
Yes, you just did. So whether you should or not doesn't matter.
Well, let's just keep that between us.
Yeah, okay. You got it.
A little busy yesterday.
I hear you. You're working on it. We get it. In terms of the quality of the opponents,
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, fast start.
I do think the first 5 weeks are an advantage for the Browns in terms of opponents, but the fact that they got to play 3 out of 5 on the road is not necessary.
But you know,
there's no easy games in the NFL.
You know why I like that?
Yeah.
Because this all for a whole year, they had to hear about, oh, you play differently at home than away.
Yeah.
Why is it that you guys play really well at home but don't play well on the road? Guess
that
what
your white guy voice?
Guess what they're gonna do? Guess what they're gonna do week 2?
Yeah.
They're going to go crazy on the road. They're going to try to blow Jacksonville out the water.
You're right. That was his Dave Chappelle white guy voice.
That was the white guy voice. That was very good.
Goodness.
Should we take the fans inside for a second of the thing we were texting about before?
Black guy, white guy?
It's got to be quick. We got to.
All right, it's all right, Mike. Take it easy.
We got a lot to get to
If we
today.
spend 20 minutes instead of 22 on the schedule game, it's going to be all right. So before somebody said something about somebody being the whitest guy ever. I can't even remember how this started.
No, what happened was
Earl
commented on Jason's article.
Earl texted me this morning.
He dropped a black slogan to a phrase.
Earl's making me cool.
And Jason had no idea what it meant.
Let me read it. So Earl texted me this morning. Great article, bro. In the hood, we call this letting that chopper ring out.
Of course.
The way you even say it.
And I said, I have no idea what that means,
Yeah.
but I'll take it. I said, that's why I love you, man. Teaching me new stuff and making me 1% cooler all the time.
Yes.
And then moments later in one of the chats, he said, I tried to put the article in there so for all you cheapskates who don't have an athletic subscription.
I didn't know it was 99 cents.
cheapskates who don't have an athletics.
I'm going to subscribe today. I didn't know it was $1.
And Earl said, why would you buy the cow and you get the milk for free? And I said, that is a white man saying.
No, Steve said it. Director Steve said it.
I thought Earl said it.
No.
Why buy the cow and you get the milk for free? That was you?
You wrote that. You wrote, you and me both, Steve. Probably the whitest dudes on the show.
No, I thought Earl said it.
No.
It's a long night.
Earl would never say that.
Well, that's why I said, Earl, I'm taking 1%.
Well, but anyway, once Jason said that's the whitest thing ever, I wrote, I think that's a good topic for the show. It could be who's the least white of the white dudes on the show.
And it's 100% Mike.
Now, everybody says
debate.
Mike, but I think I'm an underrated contender, and Mike has defended me.
I think that Bull knows stuff.
First of all,
he knows stuff about the black
I'm
culture.
the only, of all the white guys on this show, I'm the only one that didn't grow up with only white people. You all the Anthony, Mike, Steve, I assume, although I don't know, Jason and Jay all grew up.
Steve went to school where things were segregated, of course.
I went to
of course he don't have.
Hey, I had two black kids in my class.
Two black kids in his school.
Avon Lake.
Mike lived in some little tiny town in New Jersey. There were no black kids in your school, I bet.
Yeah, there were.
2.
More than that.
But Mike played basketball.
My high school was a
grew up in a
melting
locker
pot.
room.
Yeah, I played AU basketball.
My high school was like 40% white, 30% black, 20% Asian, and 10% Puerto Rican. I mean, we were a melting pot. So that's why I said I'm an under-the-radar contender, because at least I grew up in a city.
Tell me everything you know about the hip-hop community. Go.
See, but I don't know anything.
There you go. Mike, tell me what you know about hip-hop.
Wait a second. Hold on.
He knows it's a beef.
I know old school hip-hop, like when I was a kid, and that's an age thing, not a black and white thing.
Wait a minute, Bull.
Yeah.
What 2 rappers is beefing right now?
It's Drake.
Okay.
And
see?
I forgot.
No, you just failed. Kendrick Lamar. Even I know that.
But that's not fair. That's ageism. That's not black and white.
No, it's not.
I just told you.
We just spent like 20 minutes on it on this show.
My wife said to me, she goes, I can't remember what she said, but she was like, oh, she said that we should create a quiz to find out
who's the whitest of the whites.
Right. And I said, then my wife says to me, do you know any magazines?
Ebony.
And I said, Ebony and Essence.
Well, anyways, I think that to celebrate this,
we
should throw a barbecue at Jay Crawford's house for Juneteenth, since that's coming up next. Now that Jay is officially 3% black, we should throw the barbecue at his place.
3% black?
He did a 23andMe, and he said that it came back that he was like 3 or 4% black.
No way.
So I said, if that's the case, the barbecue is at Jay's house tonight, and he better be celebrating.
When I got my 23andMe, I'm like, I remember saying to my wife, I got to be a little black or Asian or something. I wanted something interesting in my background.
What was it?
No, I was 99.9% Eastern European Jewish. That's boring.
See? Again, you're not even close.
And then I was 0.1% Neanderthal.
He upset.
I know. I wanted to be a little something, a little spicy.
Mike is going to have a stroke if we don't get back on.
Oh, God. Let's get back to it. The early season schedule. In terms of the weaker opponents, the Browns, let's go to the end of the schedule, Mike. Skip ahead to the end, because the last 5 weeks is killer. Now, the Browns, in theory, may be a good enough team that it does. I said this
Leave
a couple
me alone.
Of years
I'm
ago.
trying to read the schedule.
Let me tell you something. 2 years ago when we started this show, I remembered saying on this show that when you are a good team, it doesn't matter who you play. Because if you're a good team, you think you could beat anybody, right, Ty?
That's a fact.
Okay. When you were at Ohio State, you didn't give a rat's ass who you played.
Yeah, we was going to win.
You thought you were going to win every game when you're a good team.
We did.
Now, for the last couple of years, because on this show, but for many years overall in Cleveland, we've always been uptight about the schedule. And I saw Earl tweet yesterday. Well, I don't remember. I'll paraphrase what he said. But he basically said, well, I don't care who the Browns play for the first time in forever because I think my team is good and it doesn't matter. Earl, did I paraphrase you
You got
fairly?
that right. You got that right.
Okay. So I agree with that. Now, we talked about it. We're going to continue to talk about it.
The last 5 games.
The difference between the Browns being good and great is how good is Deshaun Watson. We know they're a good football team. They can be a great football team if Deshaun plays up to his capabilities. But if he does, then it's irrelevant who they play when. Yeah, they're going to lose some games because there's a lot of tough teams.
Well, yes to that. But when I looked at the schedule, I think it's It's actually right. If you got a graphic of like the full schedule,
it's good. Goodbye. We'll get to the bye
because
later.
of the fact that, like, for the first 4 games, let me see the first 4 games. The first 4 games, I'm assuming that Nick Chubb starts off on the PUP.
Right.
You don't need him for them games. Maybe the Cowboys, but outside of those, you don't really need.
Well, that's
him.
the first one.
Shut up, Jason.
Well,
they don't listen. The first 4 games, you don't really need him for those games.
How many of those games do you right now? Based on right now. We obviously will change.
At worst, I see them going 4-1.
Well, but what do you think the point spreads? Like, are the Browns favored? How many of those games are the Browns favored in? I think they've opened as a 1-point dog against Dallas.
They're a 1-point dog.
They favored against. They should be favored for the rest of them. Maybe
maybe
Jacksonville.
They'll be a dog at Jacksonville.
Yeah, maybe at Jacksonville. Maybe
a slight dog.
But the rest of them, yes.
I mean, by games 4 and 5, it depends how they've done so far. But going into the season, I would think we know they're a slight dog to Dallas. They're probably a slight dog at Jacksonville. They're favored against the Giants, probably a slight favorite at the Raiders, and probably a slight favorite at Washington.
Yeah.
So favored 3 out of 5. I think to be in good shape, the Browns have to win at least 3 of those first 5.
I agree.
They need to get off to a good start, I think, because things get. Now, this second chunk of the schedule, this is a very tough chunk. Now, the good news is you go a month without after playing in Philly in Week 6 to end a 3-week stretch of being on the road. Then you're home for a month because you got 3 straight home games and a bye.
What I like about that is the fact that you get 6 games to tune up. We know the AFC is the toughest division.
Yeah.
You get 6 games to establish who you're going to be, what you are offensively, defensively, and special teams wise. That when the games that matter in your division the most, boom, you got a plan Week 7. That's perfect for them.
Yeah, I mean, last year they had 3
year.
division games in the first
that's what
5
I'm saying.
weeks.
Yeah, it could get early, late.
Yeah, and
Or
the
later
Browns
early,
play. We'll see it as we go along. The Browns in divisional games play all 3 teams at home first. And then late in the season, they play all 3 on the road, which is interesting. I don't remember ever seeing that. Not that I don't know if I paid close attention. This is a tough chunk, though, we would admit, even though they're at home here.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the Eagles on the road and the Bengals, Ravens, Chargers at home. We don't know how good the Chargers are going to be. But if those teams are all healthy, you got 4 excellent quarterbacks in consecutive weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
You think they're favored underdogs like we did for the first 5? How do you think
If I'm making the spread today,
this is based on today.
I think they're a dog to the Eagles,
For
definitely.
sure.
Favored against the Bengals.
I don't think so.
They favored.
I think today they would.
At home?
I'm telling.
What do you get? It used to be 3. What do you get now for being at home?
It's 1.5 for home.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think the
You
Bengals
think
are a slight
the
favorite.
Bengals would be favored?
Right now, well, the Bengals over-under's 10.5. The Browns is 8.5. So you got to go. That's got to factor in.
I don't.
I'm just giving you my opinion
Is it
on
still
what I
that
think.
right now? Because I thought, first of all, I lost my calf stick
Yeah.
officially too. It
that's
broke
true.
my heart. I should have cashed
Yeah.
out for the 90 cents.
Should've
But
taken it.
right now, if you telling me right now that the over under is 8.5 for the Browns win, I should put a 20 on that right now. I only bet 10.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, I'm not making the odds. That's what they are. I would say the Browns would be about a 4-point dog at Philly. I say they're a 2-point dog at home against the Bengals. I think they're a 3-point dog at home against the Ravens, and they're a 3-point favorite at home against the Chargers.
I'm gonna say
Maybe
they'd be I say a 3-point dog to the Eagles. I say a favorite at home against the Bengals.
I could see them. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Dog to the Ravens. Favorite Chiefs.
I could see
Chargers.
them being like a 1-point dog to the Bengals and Ravens, favored to the Eagles and favored to the Chargers.
Favorite?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Dog to the Eagles, obviously.
Yeah.
Favored
But
against
they're
the
not going to be a
Chargers.
big dog.
So they're going to be 3 dogs and
They're all,
1
they're all
favorite.
pretty close, regardless.
Really
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
Pretty close.
2
Steve,
and
let's
2.
go to the next.
They're probably a
slate.
3-point favorite against the Chargers.
They favor for
All right,
sure.
so the first chunk is favorable. The second chunk is tough, but at home. First chunk favorable, but mostly road. Second chunk is not favorable, but mostly home. This third chunk is favorable, but again, more on the road. You're playing, a decent Steeler team. I don't think the Saints are going to be very good, and I don't think the Broncos are going to be very good, but both of those games are on the road.
Yeah.
You play the Steelers twice in 3 weeks.
Saints are coming off a bye.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Browns.
We are coming off.
The Browns.
Browns.
The Saints
You
game.
said-
Yeah.
The Saints
Okay.
game, you're
Say
coming
it
off
like
a bye.
that.
All right. Now, in this, I think the Browns, as of today, they're favored in 3 of those 4 games. They're a slight dog at Pittsburgh.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then the last 4, which is
Now
where
this
it gets
is
real
the
tough.
killer.
Tough way to end it.
They better be in good shape now. Not that they couldn't win. Listen, if Deshaun Watson is Houston Deshaun, they could play anybody. I mean, they could beat anybody.
I like the fact
that this schedule on paper is brutal.
I like the fact that Miami's coming here.
Yeah, right.
So that gives you the hope. I hope it snows. I hope it does.
Well, it's December 29th, I believe, is that game.
Should be
so
snowing.
It's possible. Chiefs at home, at the Bengals, Dolphins at home, at the Ravens. They're a dog in all those games. The Miami game, they're probably a slight favorite
because
today.
it's late in the year.
And
if it was early, I think the Dolphins would be favored if it was September.
But they're more than as of today. Again, we don't know what the record's going to be, but as of today, they're a three-point or more dog in the other three games.
But I like the fact that this is where it's at because you want to play your best football in December. I always say that the last month you have to be playing your best ball.
That's right.
And you ain't got no choice but to be playing good against them.
If the Browns are going to be legit Super Bowl contenders,
they got to beat one of them.
What's better than get?
They got to beat one. They got to beat them eventually.
Earl, in your tweet yesterday, you mentioned the term battle tested. Well, they'll be battle tested if they get through this and make it to the playoffs.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. You can't really come up with a much tougher schedule than that.
You're not going to go 0-4 and make the playoffs.
No
stretch.
No.
In that stretch.
Is this the first game Deshaun plays Patty since? Why not? I won't say that.
I don't think he's not.
Have they not played since?
I don't think they have
since the playoff game where he was up and then they lost.
Say again.
Unless they played in 2020
when Deshaun was at 10.
Can you guys look and see if the Chiefs played the Texans in 2020?
Remember Deshaun went up like 24 points and then Patty came back and won it. Is this the first time they played since then?
They might have played in 2020. The COVID year. Before he sat out.
Right now.
I'm not sure.
What's that, Mike?
He looking it up.
Yeah, if they didn't play in 2020, because he hasn't played against the Chiefs since he's been here.
No.
They had to have at least, you were thinking the next year, following year, they should have made that like one of the first two games.
But did the Texans...
They did play the following year.
2020?
2020, so...
According to Anthony.
What was the score?
34-20.
By the way, Mike said that, according to Anthony, as if it's Anthony, it could be wrong. That's kind of how you said that. Let's be honest about it.
Unintentional.
Yeah.
Love Ant.
So
2-2. I got 2-2 in that.
Hey, there's no. Again, there could be injuries, but on paper, the list of quarterbacks you're facing this season, go back to the beginning again, Mike.
Yeah.
So you got Dak, Trevor Lawrence,
Danny Dimes,
nothing,
Gardner
nothing,
Minshew,
nothing. Oh, you got 3 weeks in a row.
Jaden Daniels.
All right, let's see the next one. Okay,
Jalen Hurts.
Then Hurts,
bang,
Burrow,
bang,
Lamar,
bang,
Herbert.
Bang.
Next.
Derek Carr.
Then it softens up again in this third one.
Derek Carr, Russell Wilson.
The best guy you're facing is Russell Wilson.
Bo Nix.
Or Justin Fields.
Fields. And then the fourth one, boom. Mahomes,
bang,
Burrow,
bang,
Tua,
bang,
Jackson.
Bang.
Well, remember when we was talking about...
So you're facing...
It's a lot of banging.
I tell you what, remember when I had the conversation and I said he's going to be top 10 this year, and I think we said QBR is what we went off of?
Yeah.
He going head to head with a lot of them. So
well, they have.
He gotta outplay them. That's what he gotta do. I gotta do better than that guy over there.
What's fascinating about the Browns' schedule is they play 10 good quarterbacks. Again, barring injury, they play 10 frontline quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, 10 games.
10 games.
It's
two Burrow
Lamar twice and two Burrow, but 10 games against frontline quarterbacks, and the 7 that are not against frontline quarterbacks are together. It's games 3, 4, and 5 against non-frontier quarterbacks, and then games 11 to 14, 10 to 13, because it's Saints, Steelers, Broncos, Steelers.
It's crazy to have the Steelers twice in 3 weeks.
They always
I know.
This. That's where they did.
I think the Bengals and Ravens are doing the same thing, if I remember correctly.
They did this like 2 or 3 years ago, where they played, win a week, and then played again. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Or was it they went on a bye and then played again? It was something weird.
I think they did. Didn't they do that with the Ravens?
It was something weird.
Yeah, I think they did do that with the Ravens.
I think with the Ravens, or did that happen because of COVID? Was that the COVID year?
I don't remember, but it was like, wow.
All right, Mike, what do you got? We're going to talk about when the Browns... Remember, last year the Browns had a Week 5 bye, which is a terrible week to have your bye. This year it's different. Do we like it or not? We'll get to it next.
Yeah, we're going to compare all the AFC North byes and see if the Browns got a favorable draw. But tonight at 5 o'clock, it's a new episode of the Ultimate 216 Show with Earl the Pearl talking the Cavs, what they'll do this offseason, the Browns' schedule release. It's going to be a jam-packed show, so make sure you guys Tune in at 5 o'clock to the Ultimate 216 show with Earl the Pearl. Bull, you mentioned it. The Browns' bye week this season is week 10. It was week 5 last year. Now it's week 10. And if you look around the rest of the AFC North, the Bengals have a week 12 bye. The Ravens, a very late bye, week 14. The Steelers at week 9. So most of the teams are within the 10 to 14 range, or really 9 to 14 if you want to include all of them. But all later in the season. No early buys for the AFC North. Do you guys like the early bye? Do you like the later bye? And how does this week 10 bye fit into the Browns' schedule?
I like the bye.
Seems like the perfect week to have week 10.
I mean, it's like smack dead in the middle of the season.
It is,
you hit the reset button, and then you got to get ready for you coming off of just that last gauntlet, because we know the first 5 games is whatever. Those next waves is pretty tough. You hit the reset button. You start off with some easy games, and then you ease it. You get ready for that gauntlet at the end. So I think week 10 is perfect, right in the middle. Hit the reset button. You'll learn, be able to assess your team, figure out what you did do it good in that first half, figure out what you need to work on. Got to remember, it's a lot of moving parts. You got new coaches on the coaching staff that's coaching with these coaches for the first time. You got to figure out what works and what doesn't and be ready for that tail end. So I think right at half is perfect.
Jason?
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, week 10 is just about the best you can get. It's in a 17-game season. It's kind of the halfway point. 9 games, you play 9, you sit, you play 8. I mean, you really can't get better than that. I'm thinking like with the Ravens, week 14 feels almost like too late.
Let me see the other buys again.
The Steelers are week 9, the Bengals week 12, and the Ravens week 14.
14 is really late.
That seems late.
That's late. Yeah.
Which would you prefer as a player, really early or really late?
If middle was not an option.
If middle is not.
Like week 5 or week 14?
Early.
Why?
Because it just seems like when it's late like that, it gets very redundant to whereas, when you get it done early, it's like, all right, we got to lock in and make these games count. There is no light at the end of the tunnel, until we done with this whole thing. And you're still in that mode. Like, I'm in that mode. I don't have to rev my body back up again. Like, I'm ready to roll.
What's weird about the schedule, I don't think this has ever happened before. 28 of the 32 teams have a bye in 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, like there's most of the teams are on bye either weeks 5 or 6, 10 or 11, or 5 or 6, or 10 and 11, or 12 or 14. Well, there's no byes week 13.
That's odd.
There's no byes week 8, and there's only 2 in week 7 and 9.
Is that? I'm just wondering if that's in any way trying to prepare for 2 bye weeks.
I don't know.
I don't know what the
I've never seen no bye week in week 8.
It used to be spread out.
Yeah, it used to be like
4
teams every week, and then there was 1 week that was 6 or something.
Yeah. Do you got Mike? You got the dates on these games? Because I was reading something that said
I can tell you the date.
It was something like
you mean the times?
No, like the date. Like,
yeah,
because they were saying like the Browns play like 3 or 4 games with like less than 4 or 5 days of recovery.
Well, every team in the North is playing 2 Thursday night games. So it's not like it's unfair to the Browns and fair. Because I think there's 6 or 8 teams playing 2 Thursday night football games, and all 4 AFC North teams are amongst the, whatever it is, 6 or 8 teams. But what's crazy is what Mike just put up there. So in the first 11 weeks of the season, the first 12 weeks, first 11 games, the Browns have no scheduled night games. And then they play 4 night games in 6 weeks. Late in the season.
You happy about that?
If I were a player, I wouldn't want to play 4 night games in 6 weeks. Would you?
As a former athlete that's going to be doing the post-game show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
I'm upset.
I know. But as a player, would
I don't like waiting.
4 out of 6.
I never really liked the waiting around. I always like to get after it. But the atmosphere of a night game is what you want to play.
State, that's all you play.
Right. You play a ton of stuff. So you play 4 in 6 weeks?
Well, you get used to it then.
Okay.
Like, yo,
all right, fair enough.
If you gonna do it like that, you'll be used to it. Like, I got my routine. See, the difference is when you're a professional athlete, everybody got their routine of how they get ready for games.
Right.
And sometimes it's different due to the kickoff times. So if you got a night game, now I got more time to lay around and do whatever I want to do. To where if it's an early game, you got to get revved up, get ready to go, get everything that you need to do to get ready in early. So if you're gonna have 4 of them that consecutively, you'll be fine. Because you'll have your routine. The first one, you'll figure out your routine. By 2, 3, and 4, you'll already be in your mode.
I don't know the answer to this. I don't think a lot of people know you still stay at a hotel even for home games. They still corral everybody together in a hotel. Yeah. Do they get you up earlier? Do they get you up at the same time for a night game as they do for a 1 p.m. kickoff?
No.
Or do they let you sleep
They
later?
let you sleep in. Yeah,
so what time for a 1 p.m. kickoff, what time are you up and at breakfast? And if it's a night game, what time do you have to be in for meetings?
The buses, they start breakfast at 6 a.m. Nobody probably is down there, and that's a lie. People are different.
I heard Russell Wilson's down there.
We'll see. I would say you got to be at the stadium 4 hours before kickoff, so that puts you at what, 9 o'clock. Yeah. So that means the first bus leaves at like 8, and every bus leaves at like 20 minutes after that. So you got 3 buses that you got to make it either 8, 8:20, or 8:40. Boom, you go
and
there.
You could choose. It's up to you.
Yeah, you choose.
I guess if you need more treatment
or
something,
if if it's at the home game and you want to drive yourself, you're free to drive yourself.
Do guys go home?
Some, depending on when time the game is. Yeah. So when I was in Seattle, you got up, you did some meetings, and then after that meeting was over, you was free. You can go do what you want to do until it was time to leave. So some guys would get in their car, go home, get dressed, and leave from their homes. But you required to spend the night at the hotel.
Yeah.
As when you played, did you play a Thursday night or Sunday night and a Monday night?
I played a Thursday night and I played a Monday nighter.
Which is the best?
Atmosphere? Monday Night Football.
No, but what is the best as a player to play, actually?
Monday night.
Better than Sunday? Well, you didn't play a Sunday night.
I didn't play Sunday night. Okay. Monday Night Football.
Thursday. I've heard some players like a Thursday night game because you get a mini bye.
That part. But if your body is beat up from the Sunday game, then you like.
I guess you'd like a Thursday night game early in the year is probably not too bad, right?
Yeah, probably
beat up too much, maybe. But
one more. Browns have 2 late Thursdays.
So. One more on this because I find this stuff really interesting.
Yeah, Monday night game.
You guys are grown ass men. Why do they make you stay in a hotel before a home game? I know they want early meetings, but you really can't trust these guys not to go out on Saturday night and do stupid things before the game? Is that really it? I guess that's really it.
Before Tyus gets in trouble.
Really? Are you serious?
You've been around enough athletes.
Yes, but the night, I mean, in the NBA it's different. There's 82 games. There's only 7. I can't believe that you can't be mature enough not to go out on Saturday night before a game.
Some people can't
like in college, I totally get it in college. By the time you're in the NFL, you ought to be able to control yourself.
Let me repeat myself. Jason, you've been around a lot of that.
Tyus, I'm going to save you here with the fan.
Go ahead, guys. It's time for everybody's favorite game show. It's the schedule game.
I got to pee.
And before that, it is winner take all time in the NBA and NHL. And FanDuel is giving you, a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. It is Jason's favorite game.
This is the dumbest thing we could possibly do.
Oh, it's the best.
It's the dumbest thing.
So we are going to play.
And we're holding
schedule games
too.
Guys, we're going to go through the schedule. I'm going to give you a game. You tell me if it's a win or loss, and keep a tally, and we will give you guys your final record at the end of the schedule game. Are you ready?
Yes.
Week 1 at home against Dallas.
Dub.
That's a tough one. I'm
setting the message.
Fence on that all morning.
Setting the message. Dub.
I'm going to say win.
I'm going to say win also.
3 dubs. Week 2 at Jacksonville.
I got a loss.
I do too.
Oh boy.
Dub.
Ooh.
Tyus with 2 wins to start. Jason and Bull at 1-1. Week 3 at home against the Giants.
Jason, you go first on this one.
Well, that's the one I wanted them to open with week 1 because I thought that was the easiest win of all the teams, so I got to give them a win in that one.
Yeah, they better win that game. That's the easiest game on the schedule. On paper, I got to win.
This one's tricky for me because because of the fact that they D-line is really good.
And you don't beat obviously nobody beats every team they're better than.
Correct.
Usually they don't.
I'm gonna give them a dub, but the next week I'm giving them an L.
At
so
Vegas.
We'll start with 4. At Vegas, you're giving them an L, Tyus.
I'm gonna give them an L.
Now I understand putting them in a hotel the night before the game in Vegas. I probably need to be at a hotel the night before the game in Vegas.
Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins on the defensive line.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an L.
Gardner Minshew, right?
Yeah.
Probably their starter.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the win for the Browns on that one.
And to round out the first.
Dub.
quasi-quarter.
Don't even do that.
At the Commanders.
Yeah, win.
I got the shocking upset there.
Commanders win.
You're sick in the head.
So through 5 games, and what is everyone's record prediction
4-1.
through 5?
Tyvis is at 4-1. Jason's at 3-2, and Bull is at 3-2.
Next up, Steve, Week 6 at Philadelphia.
Hold that L.
I got to win on that one.
Nick
Slight
Chubb
upset.
will be back that game. Their defense is in rebuild mode, meaning that as long as our defense can stop their offense, we should be able to win that game. I'm going to go with a dub.
At home, first AFC North game of the season against the Bengals. Bull?
Go
Or
ahead.
Jason?
I always feel like I have to pick the Browns when they play the Bengals.
Homer! Bull hates the Browns.
I have a hunch the Browns are going to lose that game, so I'm going to take the Bengals in that one.
I'm just going to cheat and say they're going to split the next 2. I don't care the order.
See, that's where I said the same thing. So I'm going to say they're going to win this one, lose the Ravens.
I say they lose to the Bengals, beat the Ravens.
I say this is dumb.
Give
spoil
Jason
sport.
a win against Cincinnati, a loss against Baltimore, for the record. All good. Okay, game number 9 at home against the Chargers.
Win.
Win against the Chargers, win against the bye.
You always want to go into that.
All right, so what's the record for all of us through 9 games?
What is Tyvis picking?
Oh, Tyvis.
Oh, they're going to be extremely motivated to know that they get a bye out there. You don't want to go into that bye with a loss, so they're going to win that game.
So through 10 weeks, Ant, what's the score? What's the
Tyvis
record?
is 7-2. Jason is 6-4.
7-2.
That's impossible.
5-4, sorry. And then 6-3 for Bull.
You got the worst record so far.
Well, everyone
Interesting.
thinks I'm
Debbie
hate everyone,
Downer, that's
so
what you
Go
are.
ahead.
I guess
All right,
I got
next
to pick
up,
all
Steve.
wins the rest of the way now. Win.
Is that serious, Jason? Win.
You got 4
dubs?
wins?
Start with the
Give me
Saints.
3 wins.
I agree with that. I had 3 wins.
Well, no, we're going game by game.
Oh,
Don't just
the first.
I'm just trying to get
Saints.
this over
I'm
with.
going the first 3. The last one lost. Still last.
Saints win. We'll do it Mike's way.
Saints win.
Oh, Saints.
Everyone takes a Saints win. Versus the Steelers at home.
Win.
Win.
All across the board. At Denver. They lost in Denver last season.
Win.
They get their revenge.
Win.
Win.
And I got too many wins.
And then at Pittsburgh.
L.
Loss.
All losses. So,
10. What I'm 10-3.
through 14 weeks, Ant, do you have an updated scorecard?
I got 10-3 for Tyvis. I have 7-6 for Jason. And then I have 8-4
It can't be
for Bull.
7-6.
Well, you switched
Yeah,
your
why?
3
There's a
wins
bye.
mid-debate.
But I was 1 game. Wasn't I 1 game up?
You're 1 game behind me.
All right, whatever. I don't care.
Math is not Anthony.
And I'm 8-5.
7-6. Woo-wee, Jason. You.
What was my record?
We have lost control with our counting system here. Anthony has lost track of.
But I think I was. Wasn't I like 5-4?
You were 5-4 through
So
9.
I should be 8-5 now.
He should be 8-5, which makes Bull 9-4.
Yeah, and
Which
Tyvis
makes
10-3.
Tyvis 10-3.
I don't think they're going to be 9-4, even though I've predicted them to go 9-4.
All right, last 4.
I think they're going to be 8-5.
Y'all don't want to believe
At home
it.
versus the Chiefs.
Loss.
Win.
Wow.
At home.
Win. And this town will go nuts.
Oh my God, that would be
If
great.
Tyvis's predictions come through, beating the Chiefs in Week 15 to go 11-3 on the season
Oh my God,
would
can you
send
imagine?
Cleveland into a frenzy.
Yeah.
I hope you're right, Tyvis. At Cincinnati, Week 16,
Loss.
Loss.
3 losses. Sunday Night Football versus the Miami Dolphins here in Cleveland. Tua coming up to the cold.
Win.
Win.
Loss.
Ooh.
Loss for Tyvis. And then Week 18 to close it out.
Win.
Loss.
Win.
Loss.
Y'all some haters. Win.
So, Ant, are you back on track with your final tally?
12-5 for Tyvis. We've got
Great season.
10-7 for Jason, and then 10-7 for Bull.
Well, at least y'all.
That's what I think they're going to be.
Yeah.
10-7.
Well, at least y'all. Let's see. According to FanDuel, if you take the over 8.5 wins of the Cleveland Browns and you put it's minus 138,
8.5. That's their win
Yeah.
total.
I'll put 20 on.
Well,
that.
we're pretty
I won
close.
I mean,
$14.
yeah. What did you come up with, Mike, when you did it?
I had 10-7.
Yeah.
I did
That's
7.
that feels like
Because y'all don't want to believe. Y'all
I can absolutely see.
Y'all still got it in y'all mind that the Browns is the Browns, and they're going to do the Browns thing.
If the Browns is the Browns, would we pick them to go 10-7?
They would be 7-10 if the Browns is the
talking
Browns.
about? You're saying 10.
Y'all ain't committed. Y'all don't see the vision. That's what it is. Y'all don't believe in number 4. Y'all don't think he going to be that dude, but I'm telling you, right now, D. Watt is back. I'm telling you.
What did
12-7. I mean 12-5.
Earl, what's your season?
17-0.
Earl's got him 18-0.
They won to buy.
I was clipping, but whatever Jason said, I'm riding with. Me and Jason locking step today.
18-0.
10-7.
18-0.
Earl looks disgusted when he found out you went 10-7.
I got the Browns winning 11.
How crazy do you have to be as a Browns fan to think we're insulting the team by predicting them to go 10-7?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of crazy. They won 12 games last year in an unsustainable way, and they have a much tougher schedule on paper this year. Much tougher.
It's the games that y'all said they would
I'm sorry, they won 11 games last year.
They just don't sit right.
I picked them to beat the Chiefs, but I'm the hater.
Oh, stop it. Nobody's a hater.
You had them lose.
I'm the hater.
They first games, you had them 3-2.
Yeah?
That's ridiculous.
I had them beating the Cowboys in the opener.
Ridiculous? Tyvis, you know better than anybody.
It's ridiculous.
There's no easy games in the NFL.
That is a fact.
You've been hanging around with Jarrett too long. You know
that? He hosts one Ultimate Brown show, and next thing you know,
right?
He Bush.
He's been infected.
The knees.
The knees.
Big picture, though, guys, when you look at the layout of the Browns' schedule, do you enjoy the way it ended up coming to fruition with a backloaded schedule with some of the bigger time opponents and primetime games in the last third of the season as opposed to earlier? Are you a fan of how this schedule played out?
I like the way that the schedule is laid out as far as, having some nice tune-up games before you get into your division games. And I like the fact that some of those games the tough games are at the end, for the simple fact that in football, injuries are 100%. It's the only sport that 100% you're going to get hurt. If it's later in the season, I don't know if it's going to be for the Browns good or not in their favor. But at some point, it's going to be some injuries that's going to affect the total outcome of these games. Later in the season, maybe if it is the Browns that's dealing with an injury, maybe by then they're healthier and we're able to have them. Or maybe the other team has some injuries and we're able to benefit from them. So I think I like it for that simple fact right there.
That's why I don't like the last month, for exactly what you just said. There are going to be injuries.
Well, from a fan's perspective, that's how you feel.
Well, you're right. You want to be playing your best football at the end of the season, 100%. But I just worry about who's healthy in those games. Like, guys are going to be really beat up, and you're going through the teeth of your schedule at the end when guys are really sort of banged up a little bit. So that's the only thing that concerns me.
And you know what I was thinking about with that final schedule? We've talked about so much on this show how Myles Garrett's play pretty much every year has gotten worse as the season has gone along.
Yeah. You need him.
They are going to need him for if Myles Garrett plays in December and January like he has the last few years,
they could go
0-4 in those games.
Yeah, he'll go 0-4.
He's got to be September, October, early November. Myles Garrett.
Is this a career thing for him where he tails off at the
100%.
This is his career.
Mike gave a big breakdown on the numbers.
Is that updated with last year's numbers?
Yes.
I mean, look at that.
That's not good.
I mean, that's crazy.
But he's going to be extremely motivated, though.
Wasn't he last year?
Extremely motivated every year.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem.
Who did they play at? They didn't play nobody like that at the end, did they?
He was going for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
To lock that up.
They got something there.
But I'll say this with the schedule. The negatives for the Browns, obviously, this has nothing to do with how the schedule was aligned, but it's just a very tough schedule on paper.
Yeah.
It was the toughest one.
Now, I don't buy that because the only reason it's tougher than the Ravens is because they're playing the Ravens and the Ravens are playing them. You got to take out the head. If you take out the head between the Browns
they was
and
going to have a
Ravens,
tough schedule anyway. The AFC North is the toughest division.
right, it is, no doubt. But they also have a stretch in the middle of the season where on the road 3 weeks in a row, which is tough. The things that are really good about the schedule, most of their weaker opponents are clumped together so they can get in some rhythm. Mm-hmm. They have a 3-game homestand followed by a bye, which is great to have a month where you don't have to travel. right in the middle of the season. So their schedule is really, we always talk about judging a team in like quarters, and really, it was very noticeable. The first quarter, favorable. Second quarter, tough. Third quarter, favorable. Fourth quarter, brutal.
Yeah.
It is funny how it is, and I hate the 18 weeks because it's 5-5-4-4.
Right.
For me as a OCD person, the graphic just looks out of place with the 4. But I do think this is a pretty tangible 4-part season, where, like you said, Bull, there's that first 5-game stretch. Then you have the 4 games plus the bye. Then you have the 4 games, 3 on the road, and then you close with the gauntlet, which really is a gauntlet at the end of the season.
And I think, like, if you look at even if you expand the end of the season to the last 6 games, in the last 6 games, you have 4 road games, and your only 2 home games are against Kansas City and Miami.
It's brutal.
That is because even weeks 13 and 14 at Denver,
that's not a gimme,
and at Pittsburgh are certainly no easy
Denver's
wins,
Monday Night
especially
Football
at
too, by the
Pittsburgh.
way.
Yeah,
So
Denver's
Monday Night Football.
Right, like it's tricky playing up in
and
Denver.
I feel like I think I've been there a lot. I only started hanging around the Browns in 2018, and I feel like I've been to Denver 4 times. They've won maybe once.
I feel
Last
like
year.
What's it like playing in Denver? Have you played there?
I was there.
What do you mean you were there?
I was on Denver's Peach
He played with Joe
Squad.
Flacco there, remember?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, remember Joe?
I remember now that you say it, but I had forgotten. So what is it like playing there?
Well, the atmosphere is great. Their fan base is great.
No, but
as
in
far as
terms of
the
altitude.
altitude,
Yeah, like-
I told you, I didn't notice a
Yeah.
big difference. I know people come up there and they be having the oxygen tanks and having all that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't need all of
Didn't
that. To
affect
me,
you at all.
Yeah, no. You can't.
One last
Everybody
observation on
can't
the
be
schedule.
me. So
In terms of getting off to a hot start, when you look at Deshaun coming off the shoulder injury, when you look at all the new moving pieces to this offense, potentially new play caller, they brought in Jerry Jeudy, offensive line changes.
To be fair, in terms of personnel, the offense is mostly the same.
Personnel-wise, but
Yeah.
philosophy-wise could be very
Well,
different.
maybe, yeah.
Could be.
somewhat.
That's why I say
the
could.
coaching will be different.
Right.
No,
But most of the personnel is the same.
Like I said, for the most part.
Some of the running backs have
Jeudy
changed.
came in,
and
shoved the
Jeudy,
running
but-
backs.
I just want to see the running game. I want to see because Bill Callahan was the run game coordinator. So now
Right.
they had Ken Dorsey's coming in here and he's calling it his stuff.
Yeah.
What is his run game look like? Because with Buffalo, it was non-existent. They didn't have Josh Allen was the running back. So
Right.
now I want to see what it looks like now that you have when Nick Chubb comes back. How do you include that? Because this is a part that even with Carolina when he dealt with Cam Newton, who was they running back then?
D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart.
Okay, so they had a two-headed monster there. Okay, that means he's had some experience with running.
They threw the ball more than any other team.
We know they're gonna throw the ball more than anybody. But the run game to me is still gonna be, especially in December, that last part. You gotta be able to run the ball.
Yeah, and running Deshaun Watson a lot, I don't think is a good idea.
What did I predict he was gonna have rushing 500 yards
Last year?
this year?
Oh, really? Oh, that's right. You had
I said like 500 yards
That's a
rushing.
lot. That's a lot.
You go look at Josh Allen and go look at Cam Newton.
I know.
Josh Allen weighs what, 50 pounds more than Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun better go. He better go to Lefties every day and eat some cheesesteaks.
I don't think he wants that kind of weight.
He better do something. He better do something.
Bull, you're here tomorrow, so don't answer this question.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about this tomorrow. But Jason and Tyvis, when you look at the schedule top to bottom, does one game in particular stand out as the one you're looking most forward to?
Chiefs.
That's a cop out.
Why?
Because everybody's looking forward to the Chiefs.
But however, the Browns get them at home. Like they were there a couple years ago.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's cool. I get what you're saying. It's an easy choice. But
okay, Cowboys. How about that?
I like that one. Because
Well,
I agree with
what's
you.
the difference?
It's America's team.
Oh, Lord.
Nationally televised. Tom Brady's first broadcast.
Yeah.
You get the national recognition.
You aren't gonna,
like I say,
you ain't gonna bully me into taking the Cowboys.
The
Chiefs.
Browns,
Give me the Chiefs.
We sit up here, our fan base. Why don't they get national recognition? Why don't no national media ever talk about the Cleveland Browns? They are literally giving you a chance to start the season off to be on the map, to be the hottest topic. And if you go out there and it's a good Dallas team, I'm looking forward to
Stephen A. Smith
week
going,
one.
the New York Knicks.
And the Cowboys are in the NFC and are totally irrelevant to the Browns' playoff chances other than the head-to-head matchup.
Why not the Dolphins then?
Because I want the Chiefs. You are not going to bully me off the Chiefs.
Let me see the rest of the schedule again. It's got to be something else.
We have to take Commanders?
No.
Giants? Is that what you're looking forward to? The Giants? That's a barn burner.
Mike is.
I'm sure Mike is.
Not really.
You don't want to see those.
Mike was all aggravated about that awful uniforms that the Giants
The
wear.
Giants' uniform was hideous.
By the way, those are bad, but not the worst. The worst ever are the throwback
Bumblebees?
Steeler jersees.
Yes, people kept
the
tweeting
Bumblebee
that.
one?
That one was terrible.
Yeah.
Like
The
prison
Green Bay
uniforms.
Packers one was terrible.
Yeah.
And the Chicago Bears one was terrible.
I like the throwback Seahawks uniforms that they wore in the last couple,
The
like
old
for the
school.
Jim Zorn days.
Oh yeah.
Oh, those are sweet.
Those were great.
It's either the Chiefs or the Dallas.
You're going to seriously?
So
After all that,
so
you're going to come around and tell me Chiefs. No, you're not
no,
allowed to take them. Chiefs are mine. You got to pick something else. You can't have it.
By the way,
After all that. Oh, yeah, pray the Chiefs.
did you guys watch the Browns schedule release video? No.
I didn't even see the schedule
All right,
until 20
Titus,
minutes
did you
ago.
watch it?
No, I was busy on air with Anthony
Mike,
going
did
over.
you watch
How
it?
could I watch it?
Yeah, I like Pete Weber at the end. That's a nice.
Is
little
Pete
touch.
Weber from Ohio?
I don't
Is he
know.
from
I don't
Cleveland?
care.
Do you know
He's still
the bowler?
I have no idea.
I actually thought that was the only part I didn't like about it.
Was Pete Weber the guy I am who you
Yes.
thought?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
I
him?
am who you thought I was.
I thought they should have ended it before that, but I thought the rest of the video was extremely creative.
Oh, you know what? I saw a clip of it. I did
Okay.
actually did see because I saw like Deshaun with a bowling ball or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I
I didn't
thought-
see the whole thing.
I don't
saw a
remember
clip
what
of
theirs was last year, but I remember thinking
it was
sucked.
bad. It was the anime wrestling.
Oh, it was awful. I thought the Browns, it was the second, I would say the second or third best one that I saw. I didn't see them all, but I saw a lot of them. I thought it was great. I love that they, made fun of the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Steelers. Like, with the Bengals, they had a dopey guy dressed up in, like, Bengals attire throwing a gutter ball.
Okay.
For the Ravens, it was like a purse or something. I don't remember what it was, but they threw it in the garbage. And so they were making fun of all these teams. I'll tell you something. Well, first of all, the one the Titans did last year, if you remember, where they interviewed people.
Exquisite. Yes. Showed them pictures of the logo, right? Making them
Right,
guess.
and they said stupid things.
Yeah.
So one of the girls who said the stupid things is Pretty Little Blonde. She was like the host for it this year, and she was asking people, and it was extremely funny, right, Mike?
Yeah, it was good. It was the original one was obviously stupid mega viral.
Yeah.
And this one was equally as funny.
I thought it was hilarious. I'll tell you two others that were good. The Ravens and the Steelers. Bengals sucked. It was the worst one I saw. I thought the Falcons was pretty stupid,
Poverty
too.
franchise.
Poverty franchise, the Bengals. Theirs was stupid. But the Ravens and the Steelers were both very creative. And the Steeler one, did you watch either of those, Mike?
I did not see the Ravens or Steelers, I'll be honest.
The Steelers one has a bunch of different Steeler players telling dad jokes to James Harrison to try to make him laugh.
That's funny.
It was really funny.
Did he laugh?
Of course, he did not laugh.
That's funny.
Were you watching these at 4 in the morning? When do you have time?
No,
to
that I
watch
did
all
not
this?
watch at 4 in the morning. That I watched, right before I came in today. I was like, okay, we're going to talk about these videos, so let me watch
So
it.
be
I
responsible.
see.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this thing that has to do with a Cleveland Browns opponent. It says that Washington can change their logo back to the old one after a senator approval along with the new stadium, saying that Native Americans were never upset about it.
I don't know. That's irrelevant. It's not true. And
That's what it says.
who's saying that?
I'm reading it.
Reading where?
And I'm looking at the clip of the guy saying it.
Who is that?
I don't know. He's the senator.
He's one senator. He doesn't get to make that decision
Why don't he?
because he's probably an idiot.
Don't you want to see them?
No.
You like the Commanders?
I don't care. The only people that should have an opinion on it are Native Americans. I'm not sure how they feel about it.
I'm
I got to
legitimately-
imagine they'd be offended by it.
I'm legitimately 1% Native American.
That's not enough. You don't-
That's not enough.
no, you don't
Where's-
get
Are you
what's the
really?
line?
You did
Yeah,
a
I am.
23andMe?
No, well, I mean, it's a small, but so what number do I have to have to get a vote?
20%.
20.
Yeah.
I
I'm
can't-
And these
I'm
things have
Native
already
American.
been debated. It's so stupid to bring
I'm
them up
Native
again.
American. Earl's Native
All
American.
right. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You weren't offended?
No.
The
I was
name
not
to me
either.
was beyond offensive, so I don't even know why we think about changing it back, which of course they're not going to do. And a freaking senator of the United States has more important things that he should be worrying about, like passing bills to help people and not worrying about the name of football teams. So he's an idiot. I don't even know who it is. I can tell you he's a freaking moron.
By
the way, the Ravens video, they had some comedian, I didn't know the guy, who's supposed to be doing an assignment for Harbaugh.
It's Stavros.
I don't know who that guy is, but
very funny.
It was flawed because they did the schedule all kind of out of order, which was weird. But he was really funny, this comedian. And Harbaugh gives him the team credit card because he's got an assignment for him to go on.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to just get on a plane and go wherever, we don't know. Instead, he's traveling around Baltimore using the team credit card to buy stuff and buy drinks and whatever. It was funny and creative. And eventually he found out his assignment was to go bust his brother's balls in L.A. with the Chargers.
These are getting wildly out of control.
I like them.
It's fine. It's fine.
Go ahead,
Chargers
Mike.
did a Sims
simulation.
I thought that was creative.
It was okay.
Funny, but it was they had some good jokes.
Titans win again.
Sims.
Didn't the
Titans
Rams always have good stuff? I thought in the past, or am I making that up?
This is new that teams have been doing this.
Well,
it really just started.
I thought the Rams had. Maybe I'm thinking Chargers. I thought the Rams had a really good.
No, Chargers was the one that always goes all out.
No, the Titans are the best.
I don't pay that much attention to it.
The only bad one I saw was the Bengals.
Chargers they did the anime Dragon Ball Z one last year. They spent a lot of time and creative effort into doing it. All right, guys, it is time to remind everybody that if you're looking to go to a game this summer, whether it's a basketball game, a baseball game, a concert, a show in Cleveland, whatever it may be, there's no better place to get your tickets online than the Game Time app. It's an authorized ticket marketplace, which makes getting playoff tickets and show tickets even faster and easier, and prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the start, so you don't have to worry about not finding the best last-minute deal because Game Time takes care of that for you. They have all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee makes Game Time the best place to buy your tickets online. It also takes the guesswork out of buying tickets, which can save you a lot of hassle. You can browse through the Game Time app, find what you're looking for, find the seat you want. They give you the full price without added on fees. You can see your view from their seat, and their lowest price guarantee and event cancellation protection makes Game Time the only place you should be going to buy your online tickets. So make sure you check out the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
I just went on my YouTube app to see how many people are watching the show right now, and the numbers are quite huge right now. So we appreciate all of you watching the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show right now. And for the thousands of you that are watching at this moment, I ask you to look at your computer, look at your phone, look at your iPad, your whatever it is, whatever device you are watching us on at this moment. And if you have not done so already, please, for absolutely no money, click the subscribe button. That's all you got to do. And then you get alerts every time we put out content, which is quite often. Unlike radio stations in town, we don't take commercial breaks. We do. The commercials on this show are part of the show because they're part of our family. We do 2 hours of straight content. We don't do 3 10-minute commercial breaks like the radio stations
I wish we did so I could pee.
So stick with us. Stick with us. All right? Hit that subscribe button. Please give the thumbs up as well.
Speaking of sticking with things, what's up, Earl?
Hey, boy, just make sure they stick with me on Sunday. Outside of that, stick with us.
Watch Earl on Sunday and G. Bush when he's on was he doing every other Saturday?
Every other Saturday in the barbershop.
Otherwise, don't buy. There's not as many commercials on the weekend, so it's better.
Speaking of sticking with things, though, we have been harsh on Evan Mobley's offensive progression, but some of us have stuck through the thick and thin with Evan Mobley.
Yeah, mostly me.
Yeah, mostly you, yeah. Last night, Evan Mobley had...
That was a joke, Jason.
In my opinion, it wasn't a career high, but that was the most complete offensive game we'd ever seen from Evan Mobley. 33 points, 15 to 24 from the floor. Jason, what'd you make of Evan Mobley's performance in that game without many creators outside of Evan running alongside him? The big man stepped up when it mattered most.
You saw that it's in there. Mm-hmm. Now he's got to do it consistently. But I thought this was a really big series for him to really sort of show you. I mean, he can even be better than that in terms of rebounds. You know, we've seen obviously better rebounding nights out of him. But I just thought, like, this showed you it's in there. And if he is at the center spot, it doesn't put as much pressure on him to develop the three-point game that has been slow to come. You know, if they do have to move on from Jarrett at this point, and Evan is your 5, it's not as much pressure on him to become the three-point shooter that we've said, needs to be. Now, if it does develop, it's all the better. But I just think bringing him out of the post, bringing him more toward the top of the key, giving him room to operate, giving him room to move. He looked comfortable. He was aggressive. He was decisive. And this is – you got a little bit closer to seeing like what everyone has been saying. It's in there. It's in there. It's in there. No, he hasn't gotten it all. We haven't gotten it all out of him. But it's in there. He can be that guy, and I think you saw that in this series.
I think what you said there, Jason, is something I was thinking. I'm so glad you said it because I like being on the same page with you when it comes to the Cavs. The first thing I thought about after watching Evan Mobley, not just yesterday, but this whole Celtics series, because he averaged over 20 points a game in this series. I know the 30, what do you have, 33 last night?
33 last night.
33, that put it over the top. But he had a great series. He really performed well in this series.
Yes.
I've never been more impressed with Evan Mobley than I have been against the Celtics. Because I thought, and I said in the Magic series, like, he kind of feels soft when he plays good teams. Now, I know the Celtics don't have a Joel Embiid or a big guy to
Porzingis was out.
Porzingis was out. But he was playing against the best team in the NBA that has two superstars. And there was no backing down at all, and he got better as the series went along. And I was thinking, maybe the answer is, if you trade Jarrett Allen, instead of this pressure to shoot threes, which he's clearly not comfortable with, he'll do it once in a while, but it's not his thing. Like, maybe he just needs to reinforce that post game. And because he was so aggressive, and I understand there were a lot of guys missing, but if you change the makeup of the team and he's the only big guy on the floor most of the time, then maybe his post game and the skills in the paint can really take over, and he can still shoot some threes, but it doesn't have to be a huge thing, and maybe that allows him to shine and reach maybe not the level we thought, but maybe a high enough level that we're like, this guy's pretty awesome.
And we just said Jarrett played in 77 straight games for the postseason, 81 consecutive games. So Evan really never had an opportunity this year to play without Jarrett until this series.
Yeah. I just thought he was incredible in this series. Maybe that's too strong, but I was so impressed.
I think a lot of people backed off of him after this series for sure. I mean, listen, you want to see how somebody performs. You put him up one against a team that's probably going to go to the championship, maybe even win the championship. How do you perform in those moments?
Yeah.
Back up against the wall. You have to be a star. You've been blinded. You've had DG, Donovan, Jarrett, all these people step up to where it could be your turn to have a good game. Till now where you have to be that guy. We depended on you to be that guy. Darius ain't getting it done. We need somebody else to step up. And I thought he really asserted himself for sure. Now, he still needs to get stronger down there, to stop some stuff and be able to do a couple of more post moves down there. But I think he's got a complete game. I think that he's played so well that they're comfortable with being able to look into moving off of Jarrett Allen, because it's like, okay, let's see what this thing will look like if Jarrett Allen isn't there. Can Evan Mobley handle it? What's the best way? Go up against a team that's a championship caliber team and see if he can hold his own. And I think he did that. How I think the Cavs can help him is they need to get taller. They need more size on the team. It's too many just small guys. You get more taller guys in there, that helps him be better in rebounding. Now he doesn't have to think to himself, I'm the only guy that can rebound and we're going to miss out and lose the rebound count. We get other guys that contribute to being able to rebound with him. Now you can run 5 out with him because he does have the ability. Whether he's comfortable or not, he's put on tape in the playoffs that he can hit threes. So as a defender, I'm still going to slide out there, which clears the paint up for maybe a Donovan to cut and take his guy and get a backdoor cut and stuff like that.
I'll tell you, there was something else about Mobley that really impressed me. I'm going to tell you what that is in about 10 minutes. But first, let's send it to Mike for a guest.
Yeah, we actually have one of the smartest basketball minds I know joining us right now, and it is Jason Hooten, who's the head coach at New Mexico State basketball for the men's basketball team. I got to know Coach Hooten really well when he was at Sam Houston State. He took the job at New Mexico, and he's going to hop on to answer some big-picture basketball questions with us as he drives to his daughter's state softball game. So he's actually in the car. But we appreciate Coach Hooten for joining us, who I haven't seen in a couple of years. Coach, been a while, man. How you been?
Man, I don't know about that intro. Smartest basketball mind you know. I don't know. You may not know a lot of people.
Coach, we appreciate you
I'm doing good.
We appreciate you taking the time to join us. We were just talking about Evan Mobley, and overall, we as fans have felt kind of disappointed in him this year. But he changed our mind in a big-time way against the Boston series, or in the Boston series. What are your thoughts on him, not only how he played against Boston, but just in general, moving forward in the NBA?
Well, I got to be totally transparent and honest with you guys. So since my move to New Mexico, the hardest thing for me to get used to is the games on the East Coast coming on at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's been really weird for me. I have not watched as much of that series as I really wanted to. So I've only caught bits and pieces. But I just think that the thing that, and so I'm kind of a Maverick fan. And so I have watched those because they don't come on until, later on.
Yep.
In the evening. So I've been able to watch some of those. But I think the biggest thing, for example, I guess I can compare it to the two guys that the Mavericks have right now, the Lively and the Gafford guy. Man, they're so athletic and long and active that defensively the Mavericks are just sending everything to the basket. They're running everybody off the three-point line. And so they're not giving teams wide open threes. And then when they drive to the basket, those guys are so long and protect the rim so well. And I just think that is, to me, that was the biggest difference in the Celtic and Cavs series, is just besides Jarrett, who else is going to be that guy who can, and then, the hard part is being able to rebound still physically. So it's hard. It's hard playing small ball. I know everybody likes it now. Everybody wants to do it. But again, just trying to find those pieces and those guys that can, that can be able to do both.
Can you play two non-shooting bigs in the NBA today when you're talking Jarrett and Evan? Like, how successful can that truly be, do you think?
Whew, man. I just think extremely hard if you're going to play that way because it's like old school, right? Being able to play, quote unquote, two inside guys maybe. It's hard, I think. I think if you do that, those guys have to be really good at other things. So they've got to be tremendous defenders. They've got to be tremendous rebounders. And then, on the flip side of that, your three guards or whoever those guys are that you're putting out there, I mean, they got to be just unbelievably on point every night. And they've all three probably got to be able to average, 20 points a game. I know that sounds crazy, but in this day and age of NBA basketball, that's probably realistic, isn't it?
Coach, when you look at this Cavs team, right now they got two things that a lot of people say you shouldn't do. They got two non-shooting bigs, and they got two small guards. But this team made it to the second round of the playoffs. And up until last night, everybody thought that this team would be back. Do you think that they should run it back again and try to enhance, maybe find one more piece? Or do you think it's best that they break the two small guards and the two non-shooting bigs and move on from one of each?
No, I think they got to. I think they got to keep it together, don't you? I mean, it's young. Like, to me, look at the Celtics, and to me right now, the reason they're where they're at is because how many times have they gotten there and tasted it and yet still not been able to get over the hump? So if you keep those kind of groups together and you make a few changes here and there, don't you eventually feel like that gives you the best chance to break through? I mean, you look at, like, right now, look at Minnesota and OKC, okay? And again, those series are way from being over. But they're young, and it's like they just are getting there. Whereas if you look at Denver, and really, to be honest with you, maybe even the Mavericks, because of Kyrie and Luka, those guys are more experienced, and they've kind of been there and done that, and they've gotten really close, but yet, they've failed, so to speak. And so I just think that experience of getting there every year and keep going back. I mean, the Celtics have just kind of kept going back. And, maybe this is their time to break through, but I think it's way too early for Cleveland to dismantle that. I mean, right now that's just way too soon, I think.
I see Coach dealing with this car in the back. Hey, Coach, real quick, and then we'll let you get out of here and get to your daughter's softball game. And good luck to her in the state tournament.
Oh, you're fine.
When do you How much leeway do you give a player before you decide he either is or isn't what you thought he could be? Like whether it's a young guy in the NBA, a young guy you recruit, how much leeway do they get before you're able to make a definitive decision or determination on what that player could and actually is?
Well, this is way different than the NBA. Golly, that leash is really shorter in college now with the portal and, all those different things. It's hard, right? Because player development,
It looks like we're losing Coach. Unfortunately, the connection is.
I think that can.
Hey, Coach, I think unfortunately we lost you. I think the Albuquerque back roads got you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Coach. We'll get Coach Hooten on when he's not in the car another time. Coach, we appreciate you making some time. Sorry the connection did not work out as we hope. But Coach Hooten's the best. If you're not a New Mexico State fan, you should check him out because Coach Hooten is
the Lobos,
one of
right?
The
The Lobos.
No, that
New Mexico State.
the Aggies. New Mexico.
Oh, the Aggies. New Mexico's the Lobos.
Yeah, don't you dare
New Mexico
get those
State's the
confused.
Aggies. Sorry. I wanted to get back to Evan Mobley here because another thing that stood out to me in this series, guys, was his passing ability. I mean, we've known it and we've seen it, but it really stood out. I mean, he averaged 21.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and I want to say like 4 assists a game in this series. And that's a skill that a lot of big guys don't have. The ability to get the ball in the paint and then kick it back out with accurate passes. And he was getting these assists without Donovan Mitchell in a lot of these games, with Darius Garland, who outside of Game 4 didn't shoot very well. There's just a lot to like about what he did in this series.
It tells you that he does pay attention because when we got to about, I think it was like right when him and Darius came back to the lineup, we talked about Jarrett Allen's passing ability. How when he gets the ball, he actually makes some really good passes when he's running the pick and roll and he ended up getting the ball. So it shows that Evan paid attention and he picked up a thing or two because now Evan has. He could be more of an offensive threat, obviously, than Jarrett Allen because he has that shooting ability to where if you run and pick and rolls with him, now that he's a passer, now he's a triple threat. He can pass the ball, drive to the lane, or he can shoot the ball, which makes him very dangerous. So like I say, he earned a lot of respect from me, and that's why I think moving forward, it's going to be some tough decisions being made.
He's due for an extension this summer.
Yeah.
I think he's getting the max.
Now, the last time we did that, it didn't work out well.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great transition to the other max player on the roster, Darius Garland.
Yeah.
On
What
the
are we
one
getting
hand,
for him in
Evan
the trade?
played great yesterday. On the other, Darius
wrong
did
with
not.
you?
So is this just – and I know we talked about the potential of it being his last game in Cleveland earlier, just from an actual on-the-court standpoint. Can you trust Darius to be more consistent moving forward? Is this just a season from hell, or – how do you kind of evaluate the up and down tumultuous season that we saw from Darius Garland, a former All-Star this year?
Do anybody know, is it anything personal in his life that's going on?
He lost his grandma
Yeah,
this
his grandma
season.
died.
This year?
This year, yeah.
I wonder if that's like affecting him a little bit. Cause
it's been a tough year for him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not one to give up on nobody because I seen what I seen with him before,
Yes.
and it's there.
Right,
like this man had everybody in the NBA back when the Cavs really wasn't, when they was on the rise but wasn't a top team. Everybody in the NBA was talking about how special this guy is, the talent that he has. I can't imagine that it just is gone. Like, there's no way.
Well, we'll find out when he's playing for somebody else. Mike, where they trading him? Jason, where they trading him?
But no, it's not
ahead.
that simple.
It's not?
No.
Well, you just said they're going to trade him.
If Donovan doesn't resign,
okay. Well, then they're going to trade Donovan.
If you have to move on from Donovan, you're not going to trade Darius too.
Absolutely.
And I would have full faith in a Darius Evan pairing going forward. I would. Like, Darius had a terrible year this year.
Yeah.
He's still a good player. I can't explain why he had a bad year, but you're right. It's in there. We've seen it. Again, this guy was on the U.S. select team just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That select team is the guys who are going to be taking over the league 3 years from now or whatever
Right,
it
but
is.
can you
3-4
trust
years
him
from
to
now.
lead a team if he's immature?
That is a little bit, yeah, I said it earlier. I do think that he comes off as immature. And whether or not he is or not, that's the way that he's like, everything's just a joke and he's laid back and just you want to see a little bit more
Was Kyrie immature when he was here early before LeBron?
He just didn't talk to nobody.
Kyrie was.
No, I'm just asking. Did he have that
Was
reputation?
Kyrie immature? Yeah, Kyrie's immature.
Yeah.
Before LeBron?
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Like, but in his defense, he was 19 when he got here.
Right,
Kind of
and he
like
had no
Darius.
talent.
Where is
around.
Darius? How old is Darius? 23?
Darius is in his 5th year.
So he's probably around
So
there.
24?
24. So, yeah, somewhere around there.
So, but okay.
Darius is 24. He turned 24 in January of this year.
All right. So the bottom line is the Cavs are very likely going to trade either Darius or Donovan this offseason. I think as a fan, you got to hope the guy they trade is Darius because you'd rather have Donovan than Darius, right? I mean, wouldn't we all feel that way?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go into that assumption for now that they signed Donovan. Obviously, we don't know that that's going to happen. But if they're able to sign Donovan, what do we think are the best options for trading Darius?
Well, that brings us right to our offseason primer bowl, which
Okay.
I'm going to tell you about after our final read of the day.
Okay.
Jason and I, after this show, after overtime, we're going to record an Ultimate Cavs show that's going to debut at 6 o'clock tonight on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show channel. It'll be a premiere, but we're going to go over the 5 biggest offseason questions for the Cavs and dive into some of that. Which brings us to this right now, Bull. The Cavs offseason primer. You mentioned it earlier, and I 100% agree with you. The Cavs' biggest offseason needs this year are wings with real size, one who can actually shoot threes, and a stretch big.
Is Paul?
We're going to run. Paul George's on the list, Tyler, so we're going to get to it. We're going to run through some realistic, unrealistic pipe dream. We're going to run through all these targets in a sec.
Okay.
This is with the caveat that I'm not sure what Donovan Mitchell's doing. I'm not giving you any trades because I don't want to put people in trades that aren't actually
Why?
on the block yet.
Why?
Because we can spend literally 5 hours doing that. I'm just giving you candidates.
We got to do that next week.
Next week, sure.
All right.
But today's just candidates, guys to keep an eye on, names and positions that I think fit what the Cavs need. First one is the pipe dream that has no chance of happening. This is the perfect, absolute home run scenario that fits all 4 of these
So you're
needs.
just going to tease us now.
Yeah, it's Kevin Durant. The reason it'll never happen,
will be
and
nice.
Jason, you could allude to this, is Matt Ishbia and Dan Gilbert do not get along. And in no world, in the history of the world, before it burns to the ground, would he trade Kevin Durant to Dan
Would
Gilbert.
Durant want to play here anyway?
No. It is very nasty, and it is
Yeah.
very personal between
Because of their businesses are competing.
It's
right?
personal between Ishbia and Dan. Like, it is nasty. It is not
Good.
just. I don't care what they say about business. It is not business. It is personal.
Yeah.
So
I
anyone
like
on the
that.
Suns,
I like
whether
billionaires
Booker asks
fighting
out,
each other.
whether
That's good.
Durant asks out, there's a 0.0% chance any of the
Yeah.
Suns stars will make their way to
I
Cleveland.
can't stand Durant, but I'd want him on the team because he's awesome.
A pipe dream that may happen,
Yeah.
has a greater than no percent chance of happening, is someone we've talked about many, many times before, and that is the big prize this offseason, LeBron James. Fits the needs. I know he's not necessarily a shooter, but that is a guy who fits the wing with legit size. I picked that picture on purpose because he was there on, was that Monday night?
And the hat.
Watching the
hat's in
game with the
picture.
hat in the picture. It's your favorite hat of all time, Bull.
I love
That
that
is the
hat.
most realistic pipe dream, absolute grand slam scenario the Cavs could have this offseason.
His wife's name's Savannah, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
By the way, I want to get that hat. Like, how funny would I look wearing that hat that Savannah was wearing?
You gotta Jason can get
Ridiculous.
Can figure out.
I
where it
want to
came
wear
from.
that hat. I feel like that would be like a wild look for me. I would stand out.
You look great with that hat.
I mean, it probably cost, more than my salary.
You think?
I mean, what do you think? LeBron's wife is wearing a cheap hat?
She
That
didn't
is
go to
definitely
Kohl's.
real fur.
I mean, that's got to be real fur. I don't think I'd wear real fur because it's a little
See,
freaky,
the
but
people that make the most money can pull off.
be cheap?
Can be cheap because ain't nobody gonna question it.
it's a fair point. Right, I'm just assuming it's real fur. And
Chad Johnson said that he went to Claire's all the time. to get
Antoine
his earrings.
Jameson used to shop at Marshall's.
See?
Man's making $18 million a year, shopped at Marshall's and
Didn't-
TJ Maxx.
I don't know if this was in Cleveland. I remember Shaq telling a story that when he got traded somewhere, I don't know, I can't remember if it was Cleveland or somewhere else, that he got into town and he went to Walmart and spent like $1 million or something. I don't know if it was a million, but like some absurd amount of money when he got into town. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, next up, I'm circling a
Yeah.
team. I think the most realistic trade partner team-wise with the Cavs
Spurs.
this year, is the New Orleans Pelicans.
Oh,
They may have a need at
Pels.
center,
I
and
do
they may have a need
not
at point guard.
want.
They have it. Listen, Ty, let me just get to where I'm getting because I
don't
know
wanna-
the guy on this list is not who you're thinking. They have a bunch of wings. The Cavs need wings. The 2 realistic home run wins in order
Not Ingram.
will be Trey Murphy and Herb Jones.
Oh.
Not Brandon Ingram. Trey
Oh.
Murphy's the guy I have circled as my number one. Absolutely, if this would come down to would New Orleans trade Trey Murphy, not do they have enough. It's whether or not they'd be willing to part with him. That's why I put it as realistic-ish. But these two would be, in my opinion,
What?
more Murphy than Jones because more of an offensive threat, but legit 3-and-D wings that are young.
What do you think that we have to give up for Trey Murphy?
Depends on how much New Orleans values him. I'm not quite sure if they look at him as a.
Do you like him as much as Mike does?
He'd be a good fit here. Yeah, he'd be.
How good is he? I don't pay attention to the Pelicans.
Trey Murphy.
He's decent. He's a player that can hit the outside shot.
Like, what did he average this year?
He should be able to take off and take to the next step of his game.
He's a 6'8",
that's about where he at.
23-year-old who averaged 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists on 40% shooting from 3 this year.
To Mike's point,
impressive.
and I don't know that Mike and I talked about this, I would circle New Orleans with a big
Because of David
red
Griffin, of course,
pen,
right?
Because kind of some of the things I've heard about
I seen some.
roster fits between and obviously the relationship between Griff and Kobe Altman. They're very close.
They'd be interested in Jarrett Allen, maybe?
That's what
Yeah,
I heard.
Valanciunas is a free agent, so
I
they need a
heard
center.
him and they was talking. I seen something where I seen Jarrett for Zion type thing.
No.
I was like,
Not a
That
chance.
one
That's
I
not
have.
gonna
I don't think that's.
But
gonna
I
happen,
do think the
whatever.
Pelicans are interested in Jarrett. Yes.
Okay.
And potentially Darius. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
What's the upside for Trey?
He was a lottery pick. I mean, he's 23 years old. I think at max, he averaged 15, 9, and 3 this year on 40% three-point shooting.
Could he be
I think he'd be a 17-point guy.
not 20-point guy?
I mean, depends on how many shots he's getting. He only played 30 minutes a game this year. So that's 15 points in 30 minutes.
He's a
Pretty
third
good.
option.
He's a good third option.
Okay,
yeah. But he's
so-
a legit 6'8", 3-and-D wing with upside.
I mean, I want to see what happens if Evan Mobley's the number 2 option next year,
I think you're going to see it.
right? And so if Donovan's the number 1 and Mobley's the 2, and then Trey
gonna get
Murphy's
Paul
the
George.
third option,
Yeah. Now Herb Jones is more defensive oriented than
Yeah.
offense of the other New Orleans wing.
yeah.
I like Murphy more because he's more offense than defense, but Herb Jones is a first-team all-defense caliber player.
Is there any chance they could acquire both of them?
for DG
I mean,
and Jarrett.
Yeah, yes. I'm not going to say it's a better than 0% chance.
Because it sounds like they would complement each other nicely.
They do, and they also have Brandon Ingram in New Orleans. They have
Right.
a plethora of wings. I don't think they'll give up both because I think Ingram's also going to be on the move. He's going to come up on a different list in a sec.
Okay.
A not as realistic win for the Cavs. Another guy we've talked about before, Bull, you mentioned Paul George.
Yeah.
How he would fit. I'm not
Percentage
quite
chance
sure.
that Paul George. I mean, Paul George would have to approve a trade to the Cavs. Is Paul George going to accept the trade to the Cavs?
No.
All right, he's
Which
off.
is why he's under the
Why would you
not
do
as
that?
realistic win category.
Paul George doesn't want to play in Cleveland.
He was about to get sent here before.
Yeah, remember that?
Yes, but I'm telling you, Paul George doesn't want to be in Cleveland.
Why didn't they make that trade?
Dude is from LA.
Who did we
There
get?
is so much.
Who did we get instead?
What trade did they
What
make?
trade was that?
Jay Crowder.
Oh, it was the Kyrie thing?
The Kyrie thing.
They could have had Paul.
Oh,
You're right.
he
That's right.
blew
They could have-
that.
There is so much noise
that.
around those few weeks. And
But
what
is the
happened.
truth? I don't remember. Is the truth they could have had Paul George?
He
for
said
Kyrie?
he said he thought that was a done deal.
I'll be totally honest.
You don't know for sure.
It was 6 years ago.
Right, you don't-
I don't remember
Yeah.
what I knew. I don't know if I knew.
But he probably would have come here when LeBron was here.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
it wasn't meant to be.
But the Clippers, it is worth mentioning that again, connections. Trent Redden is with the Clippers.
right.
GM of the Clippers. It was the number 2 under Griff.
Who they
here in
point-
Cleveland.
who is
they
their
still have
point
Lawrence
guard?
Frank, who's really like the decision maker there. But there is that connection between the two franchises, Kobe and Trent Redden.
Who is their point guard?
James Harden.
Oh, yeah, he ain't never.
He's still in the
And
league.
by the way, Paul George has a player option this season.
Yeah.
So it'll be more of a sign and trade than
All right,
him
but
opting out.
he's not signing here, so let's move on.
Next up, this is the guy Tyvis mentioned a second ago. Some people love him. I'm not a huge fan, but Brandon Ingram.
I'm not
another one of
either.
New Orleans' wings.
I'm cool.
Who could be the issue with Brandon Ingram because he fits a lot of the things the Cavs are looking for.
Is he Chucker?
He's 24-point per game scorer, big wing, okay defensively. He can shoot. He doesn't stay healthy,
Ton of injuries.
and you're gonna have to pay him the extension. He's gonna be a $200 million player.
So
I don't think he's worth that kind of
So
money
the negative is the money and the injuries.
in the injury concern.
If you
correct.
could guarantee he'd stay healthy,
He's
he's
a great
fantastic.
fit. Great fit, exactly.
When's the last? I mean, how often? Like, how many games does he miss every year? A lot? Like, is he missing 30, 40 games a year?
Brandon Ingram in his career has played 65. He's been in the league since 2016. He's He's played more than 65 games once. It was only his rookie season.
Oh, yeah, I'm not paying that. Forget
he played
once
59,
in almost
52.
a decade.
He misses about 20 to 25 games a season.
Yeah, I can't trust that guy. Forget
it's a
that.
third of the year.
Too much money for a guy who I just can't trust to be.
And I don't care about the 20 regular season games, but it means there's a decent chance he misses the playoffs, and that's all that matters.
And this year, he got hurt right before the playoffs.
Yeah, I
can't
take a chance.
Some people like him a lot, and if you do, his talent.
He's not a bad player.
He's a very good player. I just don't like him as much as others because of the concerns.
Yeah.
Next up, other trade targets, not nearly as sexy, but guys I think could be in the Cavs' radar if they decide to make some smaller moves instead of not necessarily blowing it up, but just smaller level moves. Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber. Stretch big in Kleber, who is on a very reasonable $11 million contract, and Dorian Finney-Smith, the guy.
How tall is Kleber?
6'9".
Kleber. Here's the problem with Kleber. Let me be honest
here we
with
go.
you.
It's because he's white.
I can't have another white guy on this team. I got too many white guys
You wouldn't take
already.
Lauri Markkanen?
Well, we see there's two levels of white guys in the NBA.
He's European.
There's like the 8.
So is Kleber.
There's like the 8.
Yeah, true.
There's like the 8 really good white guys, and then every other white guy's along for the ride. He hustles. He's first guy in the gym.
Scrappy.
And that's Maxi Kleber. I don't want another guy. I got George Niang, who sucks. I got Max Strus and his giant face, and I got a giant face, Max, so that's
Sam
okay.
Merrill.
But Max Strus has got like the widest
Dean
mouth I've
Wade.
ever seen in my life.
Hey, we do got a lot of white guys.
And we got Sam Merrill.
Dean Wade.
I mean, I got too many white guys. I can't. You get a 5th white guy, you've gone over the threshold.
Well,
like having 5 white guys on an NBA team is like having 7 kids. It's too much. It's enough. You gotta sew it up. You know what I mean?
Traded for Kyle Korver. Did we win the championship that year?
No. They traded for him to make one shot.
And he missed it.
One shot. Corner 3 at home against the Warriors in the finals.
That guy was a good-looking dude.
Traded for him
man.
for one shot.
He must have gotten a lot of action.
He's now works in the Hawks front office.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
amazing.
Really good guy.
For the fans who don't know this, all right, professional athletes, you could be the ugliest guy on the face of the earth, literally the ugliest guy on the face of the earth, and you will get tons of women throwing themselves at you when you're a professional athlete. And can you imagine what the good-looking players get? Like, what's his name? We just mentioned
Kyle Korver is a happily married man with kids.
I'm just saying, if he wanted, what's his name? Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
What kind of action's he getting?
Well, when you're in the industry, and a lot of the times they like to mess with the same women. They get like the same 10 women
bouncing around,
and they bounce around the same.
It's a good life, man. When I was doing minor league baseball, in minor league baseball, guys who had no chance to make the majors and were ugly as shit were getting hot women, and like the 2 hot women in Oneonta, New York. Go ahead, Mike. What's next?
One other name just to keep in mind. I don't like Rui Hachimura that much. He's another guy that could potentially fit the Cavs.
None of these guys are very unexciting.
We're down now with the free agent
targets.
targets.
Plus, I can't pronounce his name. It's a confusing name. I have no time for
These
that.
are some free agent targets that the Cavs might be interested that fit the 3-and-D wing mold. Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre, Klay Thompson, Gordon Hayward, Royce O'Neal, or Obi Toppin, who's a restricted free agent. And then there's one more name to keep in mind.
Yeah.
He would have to opt out. He's in Toronto right now. He'd have to opt out. Toronto, who's trying to rebuild, doesn't want to pay him. They may just say it's a team option. Go. If he does hit the open market, this is the guy I'm keeping my eye on. His name's Bruce Brown, an integral part of the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
You take the next one whenever you're ready.
Go back to this other one for a second. Couple interesting things here. Obi Toppin was like a bust with the Knicks. He's played great for Indiana in the postseason.
Awesome this year.
He's been really good. These other guys are unexciting. Tobias Harris, when he was in high school, used to call me on the Fan in New York.
They chose
when I would do overnight shows. So I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for him.
Klay Thompson
and he was also in the movie Hustle. So I like him. Klay Thompson is washed, yeah. I honestly didn't even realize Gordon Hayward was still in the league.
I didn't either.
But again, what's my role? Can't have a 5th white guy. I can only bring in another white guy if he's like Luka level.
Wait a minute, you want Bruce Brown?
I think Bruce Brown's a really good and he makes winning plays on good teams everywhere he's been. Yes.
But he went one with the Nuggets, signed a deal with the Pacers, got traded
in the Siakam deal.
Yeah.
Huh. He is the father of a adult film star's son, right?
I don't know.
Father of an adult film star's son.
I know Blake Griffin is. I'm not sure about Bruce
No,
Brown.
I don't think it's. We all thought it was Blake Griffin's, but I think it's his.
Baby mama?
I think so.
Who's going to win tonight? Minnesota, Denver. Does Denver win their 4th straight?
Well, Ant said that he will see the flight attendants again. So
Anthony Edwards?
He said he's forcing.
Who was also in Hustle. He played Kermit, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
You got Minnesota, Denver tonight.
Denver.
Minnesota.
Denver.
The game's in Minnesota, right?
In Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Denver.
It feels like Denver can't lose.
I'm taking
And
Denver.
every time that happens, the opposite happens. So I'm going to go with Minnesota. Even though Denver should win.
We got any super chats?
We do have super chats. Before we get to super chats,
Yeah.
overall on some of the offseason targets, outside of the 2 Pelicans, Wings, Jones, and Trey Murphy specifically, did any of those guys?
Nothing excites me.
super
I
exciting?
like the idea of making a blockbuster trade for Trey Murphy and Herb Jones together. I want to get them both. We trade what? Jarrett Allen, Isaac Okoro. What else do we got to give up to get those
Isaac's
two
going to be a
guys?
restricted free agent. That's going to be interesting to watch, to see what happens with him.
Who?
I mean, he can't pay him anything. He's not any good.
No,
Isn't the jury done with him? I mean, don't we know what he is at this point?
He's gotten better every year. I'm not ready to totally write him. Yes. He's gotten better as a shooter.
But he
went
went
from
backwards at the end of the
He
year.
had a
points,
terrible
2
postseason in
points.
terms of shooting. He did not. He did not flourish like Mike and I talked that if he does, he can make himself. It didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
So you can get him cheap.
All right, Mike, real quick, super chats.
We're just going to go a minute or two.
Oh, we're going to go. Yeah, let's not rush. We're going to go a little
we'll
extra.
go a
No
minute or two
overtime
over.
today. We're just going a little extra on the
Yeah.
show. So we don't have to rush.
Scott A.
Can Tobias Harris still play, by the way?
I refuse to believe he's as bad as he was late in his Philly years.
Yeah.
And he was making a ton of money, so the expectation was, hey, we're paying you a lot of money, you better perform, and he's not that player anymore.
Yeah.
I still think he can play. But I
Is
don't
he the
think-
best guy on that list that you put up?
Steve, go back to 315 real quick.
Yes.
What do you guys think?
Oubre had a really good season.
You hated him last year. You didn't want him.
I did. Well, he impressed me. He did a lot of things that he hadn't shown before.
Yeah.
Now, who's the best guy? I honestly thought Gordon Hayward had retired.
I did. Too.
No, he got traded. He was the Thunder's big trade
really?
deadline acquisition this year. I mean, Obi Toppin, who's a restricted free agent, so I'm guessing Indiana would match.
He seems like a very versatile player, Obi
That
Toppin.
boy could jump.
And he's a better shooter
That
than he
boy
gets
caught a
credit for.
fast
Yeah.
break the other day, threw it through the legs on the dunk. I said, "Oh yeah, end game, you
So
crazy."
you think Toppin's the best player of this group?
Of these ones, yeah, Toppin would be my number one choice.
So
He's also probably the youngest by quite a bit.
He went to Dayton.
No, Oubre's pretty young too.
how tall is Obi Toppin?
6'8".
And how good did he shoot threes this year?
According to Pro Basketball Reference,
34%.
Obi Toppin 6'9", and on the season shot 40% from three this year.
And what were
4
his
attempts per
numbers
game.
overall?
Obi averaged 10.3 points, 4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, shot 57% from the floor, 40% from three.
But why would he leave Indiana?
His statistics
Money.
sound very similar to Okoro.
He's restricted.
I know he's much bigger,
Yes,
but
Yeah.
which means he'll sign a contract.
He also played.
And
He
then
also
they're going to
played
match it.
21
That's all
minutes
that's
a
going
game.
to happen.
what was that?
He only played 21 minutes a game.
And
so
what
he
did
scored
Okoro play?
10 points. Okoro.
Just get Bronny James.
Pro Basketball Reference
Draft
says
Bronny
Isaac Okoro
James and end all of
played
this.
this year 27 minutes per game.
Okay, that's
so
a big difference.
6-minute difference, more productive.
How does Bronny James fit on the Cavaliers?
He might be the starting point guard after Trey Darius. No, I'm kidding.
All right, so are
Super
the,
I'm
Chats.
kidding.
of that list, who do you guys like the best? Is it Toppin? Is it Oubre?
Toppin or Tobias?
Is it Tobias
I
Harris?
guess Toppin, I guess, but I don't know that you're going to get him.
I mean, like, how big an upgrade is Toppin for the Browns? For the Browns. For the Cavs.
Sheesh.
Oh, he's a restricted free agent. I think he's a significant, not like a game changer. You're not going to go from being good to great because of Obi Toppin, but he's he's been a team's rotational guy in the playoffs now who played
Right.
in 3 straight seasons, which Isaac Okoro hasn't been.
Of the guys you mentioned, the most realistic best scorer is Trey Murphy, correct?
Of the most realistic?
Yeah.
Does LeBron count? Are we considering him realistic?
No, I'm not considering that
Then
realistic.
Murphy.
He's the best player, best offensive player?
Murphy's my favorite. If we could leave this offseason with Trey Murphy, I'm doing.
So
victory
what
laps.
would you have to trade to get Trey Murphy? Is like Jarrett Allen's Is it Jarrett Allen for Murphy?
Murphy's young. I mean, so is Allen. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Trey Murphy is 23 years old.
Yeah.
Turns 24 in a year. He was a 17th pick 2 years ago.
So is he worth more than Jarrett Allen in a trade?
Probably, but the Pelicans have to give you more back because the money doesn't work.
It's
like
hard
Murphy's on a rookie contract. Allen's making $20 million a year.
It's hard to trade a non-shooting big for an athletic wing.
Yes. Does New Orleans?
There's confetti still falling.
Does New Orleans need a point guard?
Yeah, they do.
So
it makes it even harder because Darius's contract is twice as much as Jarrett's, though.
Right.
So
and what about Herb Jones's contract? That's not that big.
Also on a rookie deal.
So you couldn't trade Darius and Jarrett in the same deal.
I don't think you would. I don't think you would want to package it. I mean, that's
want to trade
a
them
lot
separately.
of money.
So maybe you trade Jarrett Allen with something to get Murphy,
Sam Merrill,
and then maybe you trade Darius to San Antonio.
That's a perfect example. Orlando, something like that.
Because he'd be a great fit there, right?
I think.
Or Orlando. It's a good call. What would you get from Orlando?
You don't want to send Darius to a team you're trying to beat because Cavs are still.
I'm just throwing.
Okay, then let's go to San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Who are you getting from San Antonio?
Keldon Johnson, their 8th overall pick this year, and another guy, the Sohan.
All right, so if you get Keldon Johnson and Trey Murphy and the 8th pick and some other guy from San Antonio, instead of Darius and Jarrett, are you a better team next year?
You fit better.
Yeah, that's
okay.
You definitely.
So you think you could be a better team?
I think better. Jason, tell me if you agree with this,
yeah.
and then we'll get to super chats and we wrap because we got a bunch. The Cavs, theoretically speaking, will probably not get a dollar return on the caliber of players Jarrett Allen and Darius Garland are.
Correct.
However,
I agree with that.
However, the fit of the team, even if they're getting 75 to 85 cents on the dollar, could make this team have a significantly higher ceiling than is currently constructed.
Possibly. The thing, like, I consider Darius and we'll use the example Donovan resigns, okay? Darius and Jarrett, to me, are dollar players. In the NBA, when you trade $1 for 4 quarters, it doesn't make you better. Okay. But to Mike's point, I mean, you can only deal out of the pool that you have available to you. So if you get 4 quarters.
But isn't Trey Murphy a dollar player also?
He's probably an 80-cent player right now with the potential to be $1.
Okay.
So, but the fit is so important.
It's going to be better.
The fit is very important. And if you bring in the pieces you're talking about, Donovan's running the offense, Evan is the primary big.
You got something Murphy
there.
on the wing.
You got something.
Keldon John, what position does he play?
Shooting guard. He's a 6'3", 6'4" shooting guard.
What?
Okay.
Why ain't nobody 6'6" no more at the 2? Why everybody get so short?
6'6" are the 3s now, I guess.
What? When did that happen?
By the way, Trey Murphy, I'm going to keep pumping this name out there. He shot 39% on 8 attempts from 3 this year. As a 6'8", 23-year-old wing.
8 attempts per game. I was a little confused.
Oh, I thought you said he had 8 on the season.
Yeah,
I was going to be like,
he doesn't shoot 3s?
What are you talking about?
8 attempts per game, 39% for the season.
That's a lot of 3-point attempts.
Yes.
Yeah. At 23
I'm
years
glad
old,
we heard
6'8",
it the same way.
like,
wait a minute.
Like,
why we want him?
Which again, I don't know that you're trading a non-shooting big
to get that
and getting that.
Well, maybe the Cavs have to give up more than Jarrett to get him. I don't know.
No, I don't. New Orleans says no to that straight up. Like you have to give New Orleans more to give up for Trey Murphy.
Yeah. Okay. So what else you get? You giving him Okoro?
He's restricted.
Yeah.
You can't trade a guy who's restricted.
No, you can, but
it's not much value.
What you give him?
He's not that good a player.
You need to bring up Imani Bates.
Oh God, there you go.
They have options, put it that way. But Trey Murphy's the guy I'm planting my flag, and it's the guy I want to catch.
All right, let's do super chats and say goodbye.
It so long.
Some super chats. Scott A is up first. Scott A says, "I had a Tortorella shot." Steve Becker will show the picture at the very end. Don't worry. Scott A says, "I had a Tortorella shot for shoulder inflammation. The doc said don't come back for a second one. It's bad for your kidneys." See Alonzo Mourning and Sean Elliott.
I got bad kidneys.
Mud says, "I ran 1,000 simulations of next season for the Browns. It calculated 100% guarantee of a 17-0 season and a Super Bowl victory. If you don't agree, you're a hater. Shut up."
That's good.
I like that one.
Devoid Archangel says, "I can't wait to see Taylor Swift in Cleveland," with 3 laughing emojis.
That's
and
if they're still
Armac
together.
Dog says Kobe Altman was
He
promoted
better
to
not break
GM.
up with that girl.
What you say, Ty?
He said if Taylor Swift and Travis are still together, I said he better not break. He ain't took no losses.
He's got married her now. It's over.
He ain't took no
He's
losses.
got married now.
And last but not least, our Mac Dog says Kobe Altman was promoted to GM in July 2017. So how does the panel think that Dan Gilbert will hold Kobe accountable for hiring this coaching staff and putting together this roster?
Fire.
Dan is not the Dan of 2017 anymore. It's a totally different organization.
He's not going to blow up everything.
There you go.
He's staying.
Do you think there's any chance Kobe's going to get fired?
Nope.
Do I think there's any chance Kobe?
Nothing's 100%.
I mean, there are so many questions with this team right now.
Yeah.
Let's just see.
Yeah. All right.
Nope.
You got one more thing. That's right.
Last thing. Steve,
Yeah.
take tag board full. Shout out
Love
to Creative Juice for sending this in.
Oh, shoot. That's awesome.
The person that tweeted this, who was it, Mike?
Creative Juice.
Oh, it was Creative Juice. He's very creative. He says, it went back to the conversation we were having as to who's the least white of the white people here. And I was arguing that I'm less white than Mike because and Creative Juice said, well, Bull's at least 10% white, black.
B in the boys.
I love that picture. I feel like that should be my new profile picture on Twitter now. That's good. By the way, the odds on
the G one looks like spot on. Like he actually took that picture.
It does, right? By the way, I've made odds real quick for who would win the least white competition of the white guys. Mike is the big favorite at 2-1. I put myself as the second choice at 8-1. Jay coming out of nowhere to be 15-1. Jay's weird because in some ways he's the whitest guy ever because he's like country club and does all that stuff. But in other ways, he's been around the world and he's, Jason's surprisingly not as white as you'd think also. He's 20-1. That's reasonable.
All right.
Anthony's 25-1 and Director Steve is 1,000-1. He's definitely the whitest guy in the bunch.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Hope you had fun today. Please hit the subscribe. Please thumbs up. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Big Friday show, the ultimate Cleveland sports show.